Welcome back to the Pot of Greed.
Welcome back, indeed. So today, I should probably say out the gate, we are experimenting with a slightly new setup, as you can tell.
Yeah, we're holding the mics this time. I apologize if I moved the mic and I sound like I'm out, then I'm in again. I'm gonna try to keep it.
Sorry. We'll try to be consistent. We're working on it. We were gonna put our mic stands on the table and have them.
We got new chairs, and these are very comfortable.
Yes, these are much more comfortable than the chairs.
You might have noticed in some of the past pods that I would start wiggling around the 2-hour mark because those things hurt. Those other chairs.
Yeah, I got some better solutions for us. This will be a work in progress. So anyway, though, it is another week, and I have got to say, man, this is an intense TCG week a little.
Yeah, this was a wild TCG week for sure.
Yeah, it's particularly on the Magic the Gathering side.
Yeah.
But I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh's got some
Yu-Gi-Oh's always up to some stuff. I played a new card game this week. I mean, there was a lot of card game stuff.
Oh yeah, I'd like to hear about what you play. In fact, we could even start with that if you want, just real quick before we get into the main stuff. Unless there's a story about it, or is it just your experience?
I was gonna talk about it. The Sandland tactical card battle game.
Oh, okay. I actually thought you were gonna talk about Union Arena because you also tried that, right?
No, that was a while ago.
Oh, how long ago was Union Arena? I thought that was
Anime
just a week.
New York City.
Oh well, yeah, but I thought it was at shops now.
Oh, I didn't play that.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay.
I played the Sandland tactical card battle, which I didn't intend to play. I was on the pod. I said I didn't intend to play it, and I meant that. But then someone just put a deck in front of me and said, "Hey, I want to play," and I was like, "Okay."
There's one thing that I know about Alec, and you should all know about Alec. Alec is the most defiant, mean. He's like, "I'm not playing this. I don't care about this. I don't care about this person. I don't care about this plays or this people or this game or this movie." But the moment someone actually just asks him to play, he can't say no.
I mean,
that's your life story. Is you can't say no.
Card games are 2-player games at least, and if somebody doesn't have someone to play with, I will fill that spot.
Yeah. No, I mean it's not a bad thing. It's just a funny part because you're the most vehement denier of being interested in said games.
But the thing is, I was right though. I was right not to be interested. This card game was not for me.
What is it? Just in brief.
This is not a traditional TCG as we know them. In the Sandland Tactical Card Battle, you don't buy the booster packs, you buy decks.
Yeah.
But the decks are a mystery. Yeah. Inside of a case, the decks are randomized. And you buy the box, but you don't know what deck is inside. You open it up and you find out, well, that's the deck you're playing.
Yeah, and the decks aren't meant to be changed.
No, there are no modifications to the decks. They do have a card pack that comes with them with cards you can interchange, but that's about it.
Interesting.
It's a very strange card game. My understanding is it's similar to a game called Keyforge, if any of you guys are familiar with it.
I have heard of Keyforge.
That's all I've heard, but now I guess I have a stronger idea how Keyforge is played. So anyway, this game is about collecting water. Yeah. If you've seen Sandland, water is a big deal for them. And if you ever played a deck builder board game, you know how those games all end with you collecting more points than your opponents. That's kind of how the different rounds work in Sandland. You have a mixture of character cards and these action cards and location cards that are all about removing your opponent's cards and having more water on board at the end of a given round, and that's how you decide who wins.
Right.
It goes it's like a best 2 out of 3, and it's more about getting the very best hand you can get instead of. Because you're going to put them onto the board, but you know how in Yu-Gi-Oh! And many card games, we're thinking about what can we put on the board that wins. You essentially, in this game, you want to have the very best hand because you can put them on. You're going to put them onto the board and try and do certain combos to get an advantage against your opponent. But the game is very unforgiving. You get a small hand to work with. 4 cards, I believe, off rip, you put into your discard, and they're never seen again.
Yeah.
And then you don't get any new resources until the first round is fully over. Then you get to add new cards to that same hand you had, but now you have to trash another few cards, and they're never seen again.
Yeah. So basically, it's a sort of a sealed game. Like
Yes.
it's a sealed sort of deck playing game.
There's no trading. There's no singles to buy.
I mean, I kind of like the sound of something that's very low to the ground like that. Like, it's not really meant to be like you have a huge collection of all these things and you're kind of constantly. It's just, you and a friend can buy them and play them and be done.
I like that there's no further investment past buying the deck.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. I also forgot to remind everybody, press 1 if you're watching the YouTube premiere.
Premiere gang rise up.
Yeah, normally don't start with these anecdotes about other card games, but, you mentioned it, so I thought kind of cool. Anyway, though, yeah, 1's in chat if you're in the premiere. And thank you guys, as always, for your positive reviews on different websites and all of the new channel members.
Shout outs to you guys. Every time we do the pod, there's just more of you.
Yeah.
We always seem like we're behind on knowing how many members we have.
Yeah. Currently 38 channel members as of when I checked.
By the time they watch this,
when they watch this, it might be more. You can join with the channel member button that's right beneath the video. Obviously, there's no pressure to. We set the price at the lowest.
At the lowest I could find.
Tier, so it's not really very expensive. And just a way to support the podcast because we don't have any sponsors. So
and you'll get an additional kind of episode of the pod every week where we just add it. We just kind of continue our discussion with another topic.
Right, yeah. So thank you guys so much for everybody who has done that. We appreciate it. Some people were suggesting potential names for what that would be. Like somebody said the Squad of Greed.
The Squad
of Greed. Yeah, because like you're actually, I don't know. We can think on it more. I might put up a forum if anybody has any other suggestions for that. And also, jury is still out if anybody can make a cool animated intro for the pod.
Pot Squad.
Yeah.
Pod Squad? Wait, that's fine. I feel like the Pod Squad has happened already.
The Pod Squad's got to be.
Yeah,
who knows?
Right,
yeah, and also if anybody's talented and can make like kind of an animated intro or make like a jingle to go along with it, like a little short, I'm interested in that.
Better yet, if you're not talented, still send it in.
Okay, yeah.
Give us a good laugh.
Just email me. You guys know my email. Okay, so officialteamaps@gmail.com, by the way. Okay.
I was about to say your personal email.
So please don't send to that. Okay, so we have Yu-Gi-Oh stuff to talk about.
Most definitely.
And then Magic stuff to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
And then Pokemon stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
And then other things. Yu-Gi-Oh, though. So there have been a few interesting developments. Where do we want to kick off with it? There's been new tournament policy document updates.
I think we should start with we do paper Yu-Gi-Oh first, and yeah. I did find there was a few interesting points to the tournament policy update.
Okay, so where to start with that? I'm trying to see. I thought I had a story for it, but I guess I'll just have to find their tweet.
Because I saw a Reddit post about this and everybody was reacting poorly. I mean, I don't know. People seem kind of mixed on the tournament policy updates.
So, yeah, here's the highlights of it. So, basically, they have updated, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournament policy docs, and all information on cards is now considered public knowledge. Mm-hmm. That's my understanding of that, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong about this, is that like if you say search for a card like to your hand, I can ask you how much defense it has,
right,
even though it's like in your hand, so I can like verify that information, which
is a question that people oftentimes people ask those kind of questions all the time when you're playing, and it's always been a bit murky because a person, if you search a card to your hand, your opponent does have the right to that knowledge. But typically it was the moment they search it, you can ask and look at it, but afterwards you're not able to ask anymore.
Yeah, you can also now use the offline database search feature in Neuron during matches. Which is a pretty big deal.
I think that one's troublesome. I think it's good, but troublesome.
It's concerning a little bit. If I'm understanding it correctly, basically, like, you and I are dueling in a tournament match, and I can, like, pull out my phone, go in Neurons, like, offline, so I'm not connected, I can't message someone, and search for a card. I feel like maybe I'm too cynical about this sort of thing, but I feel like that's like a time waster waiting to happen. Like, I can just sort of pretend that I need to look up a lot of cards, and that eats into time. I don't like, do I get an extension if I have to look up stuff? Can I look up things like 20 seconds left on the clock, and I'm,
like, I don't know if I would want my opponent looking at their phone in my like tournament match, even if allegedly they're just doing offline searches on Neuron. How do I know that?
Right. Yeah.
I feel like if something like that's happening, you have to search it in front of your opponent.
Yeah, and then at that point, it feels a little cumbersome. But,
I agree.
So that's a change. The next thing is you can now ask your opponent to concede.
That's some raw BM.
Which is like, that's interesting. I'm really very curious where the line's drawn. Like, when are you allowed to do, like, because. And I'm not trying. This isn't meant to be hyperbole here. Like, can I just start the match and ask you to concede? Can I play Snake Eye Ash and normal summon it, and then just ask you to concede? Like,
I don't understand the logic around asking your opponent to concede.
And so I'm thinking it has something to do with slow play. Is my guess. Is just that, like, okay, if you know that this combo is going to beat them, or this game state is, like, maybe you can just request that they do. If someone can clarify that more, I would like that.
I've played TCGs for a long time. The only times I ask my opponents to concede is if I've got them like dead to rights, but like they're still like trying to find some way out. Because I play games with Alex all the time, and he doesn't take losing easily. And I remember very recently, I was like, Alex, it's okay, I got you. Just shuffle up. We're going to game 2.
Yeah, so that's kind of an interesting one. I'm not really sure what that means. I'm curious to see more. The way that they posted this document that's a little annoying is like they just posted the new document and didn't highlight any changes. So like so players have had to just sort of go in
and just find the new things.
Compare and contrast to find differences. It's very
inconvenient.
Yeah, it's a little inconvenient. Now there's also being in possession of product before the official release is not allowed.
Whoop.
So this is now clarification on the whole leaks.
Yeah.
We were talking last week about how like these leaks end up being such, private investigators. Sometimes players have gotten banned for talking about leaked cards. So I guess it sounds like now they're making their stance known, which is that like, okay, if you leak these cards, you can be banned, and we're now saying that that's a thing.
It's actually a bit of a surprise that wasn't already on there, since in general that just it was never really allowed, right? So it feels like it should have already been in a document.
Yeah. So they also did not update the rules on sleeving cards and stuff like that. Like
the European stuff
and all that. So sounds like that's not in the TCG yet. I'm surprised. I thought it was going to pretty much be.
All right, guys, break out your big titty anime waifu mats. We lit.
Yeah. So there's some interesting like other changes. I don't know all of them, but those were sort of the major highlights that I was able to just find.
Those are the ones everyone was talking about on Reddit when this dropped, and people were immediately trying to find loopholes in all of it.
Yeah, and I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh players, gamers, that's almost like our job, right? As we try to find, because like there are things
hate new things and find loopholes.
Because there are things that I'm just like, what does this, when can I ask you to scoop? And like, do you have to agree? Like,
of course you have to agree. You can't like force your opponent to quit.
Well, what I mean by that is like, if there's a situation where I'm allowed to just ask you, then is there a situation where you're encouraged to accept it? Because otherwise, then why should I be allowed to ask you to?
Who knows?
That just shouldn't even be a rule.
I mean, I think
I'm missing something obvious.
Maybe the idea is this, because sometimes when you're in a tournament match and you think you got your opponent down and they're like kind of like wasting clock, you want to be able to say something, but common knowledge is that you cannot ask your opponent to concede. That would be
that would be rude, and just it'd
be rude and like
bad sportsmanship.
The judge will.
But that's the thing is like, so okay, is there now some time where that's good sportsmanship?
I think the idea is if you're in one of those situations and you feel like you want to say something, and now they're saying, all right, like one time if you ask your opponent to concede. And they say no, you're not going to like be penalized for having done so.
Yeah,
I imagine now if you did it multiple times, that's an issue.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know how judges are going to work with that, but that's how I imagine it works. It doesn't really seem very purposeful because I would just rather leave it where you can't ask your opponent to concede. But
yeah. So I mean, hopefully we will get probably more direct clarification as these rules are likely challenged because I mean, players are going to find ways to.
I'll wait for Jesse Cotton to tell me if it's a good or bad rule change.
Yeah, they also say deck list submissions that are made online can now be freely changed, which previously was only permitted if the Forbidden or Limited list changed or new cards released. So I guess like if you submit your deck list online a few days before the event, since it's like you're able to do that,
update it.
You can like update it.
Okay.
So like kind of cool. And then also cards in Japanese are legal as long as they have TCG card backing.
So I remember reading that, and the only card that I can think that's relevant for is the vanilla Blackluster Soldier.
Yeah, I think it's like an old legacy. Just they're old cards like that they're now clarifying that you can use them. So,
because I remember when the vanilla Blackluster Soldier came out in Japan and it was in English, but it wasn't like a TCG card. We didn't have like a TCG release for that card.
Yeah.
So this is legal now. You can throw it into your Blackluster Soldier deck, and now you win. Do you win now?
I mean, I don't even know that anybody would ever be like doing that, all things considered.
Oh, I do remember when that card first came out, there were people like going through some heavy theory crafting with it. Like it did open up something for the deck.
Yeah. They're like vacuuming outside or something, so hopefully not.
Either that or it's a chainsaw distance away.
Anyway, yeah, so that's pretty much the updated like stuff. You guys can check out the policy docs. It's highly encouraged, really, that you do if you're going to be going to these tournaments. So
you don't want to be caught flat-footed on a rule you didn't know.
Yeah, and there are always times where that there's a lot of horror stories. This ruined my tournament experience. Someone's going to get banned
for having a leaked card. Like, wait, this wasn't against the rules. It is now, Sonny.
Right. So next thing is Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links got the Go Rush World update.
Yes, it did.
You can tell me about this.
Big update that it was.
Because you play more Duel Links.
I have played more Duel Links. So Go Rush is the sequel to Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens. You may or may not know that because Go Rush has not aired in the West yet. I don't know when they're gonna get around to that, but we've gotten our first 3 characters. It is let me look at the names because I can't just rattle those off the top of my head like that.
Yeah, I know there's
It's Udius Velgar, Yuhi Oda, and forget the other guy's name.
Udius Velgar and characters from Mutsuba Town, along with exclusive login bonuses, including the card Ancient Gear Golem and more, plus 10 free packs and 1 UR, and 2 free structure deck campaigns.
So with this update, I think we can be fairly certain that Duel Links is the definitive way to play Rush Duels in the West now. They have gone full speed ahead with this update.
Yeah.
We added in fusion monsters to Rush Duels. They didn't just give us the fusion strategies for Seven's Road Magician and Dragius, which we expected. They also gave us Cyber Dragons. We got the Galaxy archetype and type. I should mention Galaxy is a new type in Rush Duels. They're these space-themed monsters.
Makes sense because Go Rush was like kind of the characters are aliens. I know I'm generalizing.
There are a lot of aliens in Go Rush.
Yeah. Okay. I saw that they are also introducing Chronicle cards.
I did not understand Chronicle cards.
Yeah, I'm just looking at this press release. This new update introduces powerful Chronicle cards, which allow duelists to upgrade their decks to reach unprecedented levels of rarity. New items called crystals are granted through this commemorative campaign and allow duelists to activate Aurora unselected Chronicle cards. So it seems like this is more of a visual thing for your cards.
Yeah, essentially you can upgrade the rarity of virtually any one of your cards through this system.
Yeah, this feature will be available for use in both Speed Duel and Rush Duel. So,
because I saw someone, they upgraded their basic insects rarity, and as weird as it is to like want a higher rarity basic insect, it actually looks pretty good.
I guess there's something to be said.
It looked cool. It did look cool.
So yeah, that's the Duel Links update. Did you play much of it at all, or just kind of log in and check it out?
One of the new things is the hero rush duel structure in Duel Links, and so I picked up 2 copies of it. I'm planning on getting a third, and I've only just gotten my feet wet with this update, so I'm going to see how do you unlock the new characters, what are the new skills, because Rush Duels and Duel Links has completely changed, and we're in for a good time, honestly.
Yeah.
Lots of new strategies to use.
This seems like, what you were saying is kind of the confirmation that, if you want to play Rush Duel,
this is how it's done.
You're going to be doing it on Duel Links.
And
that's not a bad thing.
Because they're keeping up now. You know, they've already released heroes in Duel Links when the hero set in Japan only came out 2 months ago. Mm-hmm. They're getting out the interesting stuff to us right now. In fact, that ancient gear golem has only been out for like a month.
Yeah. I actually think that it's good to see that. And we're even beginning to see a smidgen of that in Master Duel as well. Like with Fire King Courtier Volcanics. Mm-hmm. She's been in Master Duel for like a month now. And she isn't even out in the TCG yet, technically. So, maybe that will be like an ongoing trend, is like kind of tightening the gap of release timings. For Rush Duel, it makes a lot of sense. Like if they're not going to do physical Rush Duel in the West, then I do think that they need to let's catch it up then. Keep it very consistent. And, so that, Master Duel, all that stuff, really cool. Next thing is Rage of the Abyss. The sneak peeks are this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
I'm planning on definitely attending that. We sort of talked about last week what we wanted from Rage of the Abyss, so not much need to go over it again. But just quickly, we've got some theme duels that we'd like to do. Mm-hmm. Mermail Atlantean versus Fire King being chief among them.
But also the Millennium deck versus the Yugi deck. Gold Sarcophagus deck.
Yeah, this is great because Millennium...
Shining Sarcophagus.
Yeah, Millennium gets the Heart of the Blue Eyes card. Yep. Which I found out is, it's Grandpa's Blue Eyes. We all knew that. But it's also a play on Heart of the Cards. I
did not think of that.
Yeah. And its second effect is a reference to the duel that Yugi has against, possessed evil Kaiba in Duelist Kingdom.
Really?
Yeah. So, how in his duel in Duelist Kingdom, where, the kind of evil guy who's imposter Kaiba is dueling him. And imposter Kaiba summons the Blue Eyes White Dragon. Kaiba hacks into Pegasus's mainframe to weaken the Blue Eyes and eventually just make it get sent to the grave, and then Yugi Monster Reborns the Blue Eyes back to his field. That's what are you?
I'm just remembering how BS that was. Kaiba hacked into his system and interfered with the duel.
Yeah. Duelist Kingdom really was wild.
The text on the card changed because of Kaiba messing around in their computer
I remember
system?
watching as a kid and thinking okay, how they showed it on screen was the Blue Eyes attack points were literally just dropping. The numbers just going down. So I was so could you just stall? Because when Yugi attacks, okay, I'm attacking it while it's down to 2,300 or whatever. But why not just wait an extra 10 seconds or something, let it get to 2,100 or 0 or...
Ask yourself, what go negative?
Yeah, so... the Heart of the Blue Eyes has a similar effect where if your opponent summons a monster that's level 8 or has 3,000 or more attack, then and this card's in your graveyard, and you've activated Millennium Monk that duel, you can send that monster that your opponent summoned to the grave and summon this one to your field. Okay. And so it's supposed to kind of represent the way that duel played out. So
I did not expect that. I really didn't.
Yeah.
But also there's the Metamorph archetype.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That was that's from Keith's duel against Joey, right? That was it's duel against Joey.
Yeah, the Metamorph stuff.
I don't know what deck to pair against it though, since Red Eyes is kind of a mess.
I mean, it barely even works with Red Eyes, was my understanding of it.
Oh, I meant to make it to play against it. Yeah.
Flame Swordsman?
That's probably the better Joey deck to pit against it.
Yeah, I don't really know. So, yeah, check out your Rage of the Abyss sneak peeks. We will be attending. Maybe I can get some sort of a video out of it at the local card shop. But if not, I'll just certainly be there and getting some packs. So that'll be fun. Okay, and then last major Yu-Gi-Oh! News thing is that Master Duel got a new ban list.
It is a Wednesday.
Yeah, so This one makes a lot of sense because of Duelist Cup just ended.
Right.
And so typically when the Duelist Cups end, that's where you get kind of the big ban list updates in Master Duel.
Here we go.
As opposed to the much smaller ones. Well,
here comes the consistency hits.
Yeah, well, this definitely was a big ban list for Master Duel standards. I know you don't play a whole bunch of it, so I'll just kind of go over most of the big things. So we actually got 3 bans, which is pretty rare for Master Duel. I feel like we don't
I didn't expect
bans super often. So they banned Nightmare Corruptor Ibli, which, she's just oftentimes used in field locks. You find a way to summon her out from the deck, which Yubel can do.
Yeah.
Pretty easily. They can make Gigantic Sprite to summon her, and there's also other ways. And then they link her off. She summons the opponent's field. The opponent cannot do anything but link summon, which it's effectively a summon lock. Because you can't, normally what you might do is run the Nightmare Corruptor Ibli into the opponent's monster to destroy it and then try to proceed to play from there.
Right.
But you can't do that because it's Yubel, so Nightmare Pain will force you to attack Yubel. Nothing can come of that. And also with Ibli, you can't even use, Dark Ruler No More won't save you. It locks you out of Lightning Storm. It locks you out of Evenly Matched, so you can't use those. You can't use Kaijus on things.
That's rough.
It's a really weird lock.
Rough.
Yeah, so they banned Nightmare Corruptor Ibli. I'm glad to see this card go. It's just one of those cards that's not... it just kind of creates these non-games, right? You can't really do anything. Jalgan the Spiritualist also got banned. So this one's a little more bizarre because it doesn't show up as often.
Yeah, you got me on this one.
But it does usually get played in those generic stun, just Fossil Dyna, Moon Mirror Shield, D-Fissure, just every hateful card stun.
Okay, I'm starting to see a trend from these bans.
Yeah, they seem like they're kind of going after that. Yes, you'll find out a little bit more in a sec. They are definitely going after those generic stun decks. Also, it gets summoned with Albion the Sanctifier Dragon a lot.
Ugh.
People often summon Jalgan and they'll just give you the Albaz or whatever. And so, glad to see the back of this card. Primeval Planet Perlareno is the Tier Elements field spell. Elements field spell.
I can't believe Tier got another hit.
I can actually, because since Jesse Cotton kind of did so well at Worlds, and a lot of players...
So we punish him.
Yeah. a lot of players were playing Tier at the Master Duel Worlds event. And so since then, people have sort of realized it can still hang with the best decks in the format. So this is, I guess, their approach to hitting it without hitting a card like Kit Kalos or any more of their main deck monsters. They just went for the field spell, which is already at 1. But was searchable through Chivra Karma and that Rainbow Bridge of the Heart, Crystal Beast thing. So I think this is a pretty nice little hit to consistency, hit to a starter card. I don't think it kills Tier by any means, but it's...
We've been slowly just poking at Tier for what feels like years now, and it just finds a way to stick around.
So those are the 3 banned cards. We also have a couple of cards that went to 1. So Snake Eyes Poplar to 1.
Okay, yeah.
So that joins Snake Eye Ash and Wanted, which are already both at 1.
1, 1, and 1.
Which really, in my opinion, chips the Snake Eye deck down enough in consistency that they're just... I don't think that it will be a top tier thing anymore. I think it'll be playable, but 1 Poplar means if you draw it on your opening hand, then you can no longer search it. Therefore, it can't get its special summon. But
I mean, some people are going to be mad that sometimes they won't draw the Poplar, and sometimes there's going to go off.
Sometimes they'll draw it when they don't want it. It's going to be. I think it's going to be very inconsistent. And also, 1 Poplar means that you can't have 2 different Poplars in 2 different places using their effects in different times.
But in a best of 1 format, it's less likely that, or maybe it's more, I guess it depends how you look at it, really. But, you play against a Snake Eyes player, they didn't draw the Poplar, so they just pop off on you. And then it feels like nothing had changed at all.
Yeah, so, I mean, the Snake Eye deck technically doesn't have its ceiling drastically reduced, but there is a little bit of a difference, I think, compared to the normal consistency hit here, because Poplar was a card that actually got direct benefits from having 2 copies in play in different places.
Right.
Fossil Dyna Pachycephalo also goes to 1.
As much as I love Pachycephalo because of the name, I hate Pachycephalo because of the way it's used.
Yeah, this is just another one of these hits on stun, another hit on the kind of non-game decks. Mm-hmm. The Duelist Cup had a lot of them. I was playing a little bit of Duelist Cup myself, and this deck would pop up, and it's rude. I'm surprised they didn't just ban the thing outright.
They don't like banning things, Paul.
Just kind of ban it. Well, I mean, if they're banning Jowgen, I don't see that Fossil Dyna is like loads different. But
it's a fossil card, Paul.
Between these two cards, like both getting hit, I think that it's meant to dissuade you from playing Stun enough that you just kind of like it. Just seems because like the pot cards are all at one now. Like they've been like hitting.
Consistency has always been an issue for Stun decks, and you're hitting like some of their main guys.
It's a deck that already only runs like usually like 6 monsters.
It's going to be tough.
You're usually running like just maybe like Dynas, Inspector Borders, maybe Jowgens, like at most 9 monsters or something.
So they find their new engine they're going to run Stun off of.
Yeah, which, I mean, Konami's chopping them down, so they're definitely
we'll see who works faster, the players or Konami.
Yeah, they'll find something, I'm sure. Okay, so some things at 2. Fire King High Avatar Kieran goes to 2. This is a small but sort of significant hit. Not really significant, but a small hit to Fire King Snake Eye.
Because Kieran at 3 is great. Kieran at 2 isn't perfect, but it's more than serviceable. I just remember when Fire King were big in the TCG, and I remember Kieran going to 1 was a huge like. People made noise about Kieran going to 1.
Oh, I think you may think of a different Kieran. I think like Magispector Kieran.
No, I'm talking about the Fire King.
Oh no, it's not at. It's like 3 in the TCG.
I thought we had a Fire King hitting the TCG.
Actually, we didn't. I don't think they hit any Fire King cards.
Oh, screw me.
I'm not gonna lie. It's sometimes difficult to keep up with it all.
I could have sworn Fire King had been hit here, but no, you're right. They didn't.
Yeah, I don't think that they did, or maybe they did, and I'm crazy. I mean, I play so much Master Duel. I'm only really at this point, like I've kind of lost the plot on some of these TCG hits. But this goes from 3 to 2, and the reason it's kind of a big deal is because Kieran was what oftentimes would insulate Snake Eye Ash and also Fire King Ponix from getting hit with Imperm or Infect Veiler, because you'd like try to Imperm their Snake Eye Ash, then they would chain Kieran from hand, and like it pops in, and Kieran gets summoned, and then also its effect will resolve. So Fire King Avatar Kieran going to 2. Also, Kieran has a very annoying effect when it's destroyed, where like summons something back and does a non-target pop, and it's very. So it going to 2, I think, will make a slight difference, especially combined with the very much weaker Snake Eye engine. I'm hoping this will mean that this. I mean, kind of puts fire.
The name of the game is recursion, right?
Yeah.
By hitting their cards to 1 and even this one for 2. That is hurting their engine, and since that's the long-term plan of the deck, like that means more decks that couldn't outgrind Snake Eye Fire King before can now.
Right. Yeah. So there's that. Phantom of Yubel. Yubel took a couple of hits here. Phantom of Yubel went to 2. Dark Beckoning Beast went to 2, and Opening of the Spirit Gates went to 2. So again, these are like.
Purely consistency.
Pretty scrapey little consistency hits, particularly the Opening of the Spirit Gauge and Dark Beckoning Beast. Those were the deck's starter cards. Phantom of Yubel is actually not a consistency hit so much as it is a hit to like...
That's hit to the ceiling, essentially.
To kind of the grind game, I would say. Like, the deck can still reach the same heights, but I think that in turns following, you will have to be more mindful about recycling Phantom of Yubel. Because it can be recycled, but, you know... you will be doing that over a different card now. So
right.
My hope is that those 3 hits together will provide enough of a slap on the wrist that like it brings Yubel's win rate down some. Because I don't think that their goal was to like kill off Yubel. I think with Fire, you know, it's been around longer. They seem like they're a little bit harsher on it. With Yubel, it's the deck's biggest issue is that it can be bricky. You are still at a base level having to run Yubel, which is a level 10 monster that in your hand without Nightmare Pain,
it doesn't really
cannot really like do anything. So,
but that's the only brick you're running Yubel anymore, right?
Well, you usually run
unless they're still running Terra Incarnate.
They run Terra Incarnate too, okay. And so like when you think about it now, it's like when you had those cards in hand, normally it was like fine, but now that there's also a chance that you like won't see an Opening or a Dark Beckoning Beast, the win percentage should go down a bit is like maybe what they're thinking. So
I get it.
Now also some exciting things. Gold Sarcophagus went to 2, which alone doesn't seem like a huge deal.
I mean, Gold Sark's been at 1 for so long.
Yeah, but in addition to the fact that Thunder Dragon Colossus went to 3 in Master Duel.
Wow.
So you might remember in the TCG it recently went to 2, I believe.
Which is amazing.
And so now in Master Duel, it was at 2, and like it went to 3. So
that is just disrespecting us. They're saying we're not a threat. They're saying we're not a problem.
They're right, I think.
Wow.
It seems like Colossus still doesn't really get a load of play, but so Thunder Dragons with like Gold Sark and Colossus, that's like kind of a thing. Water Enchantress at the Temple also is at 3 now. Pretty cool. She's bounced around a lot on the list.
I can't believe we've gone so long without talking about the Adventure Engine.
Yeah, it really disappeared
It has
from the
not
conversation.
come up.
Change of Heart, Eradicator Epidemic Virus, and Chaos Space also went to 3.
Chaos Space was limited?
Yeah, it was. After last year's Worlds, that's when they hit Chaos Space and White Dragon and Black Dragon, all that stuff.
Oh, because Dragon Link was good.
So they brought back White Dragon kind of recently, and now they're putting Chaos Space to 3. They'd put it to 2 before. So like they are bringing back pieces of Dragon Link, but at a time and in a way that feels like, well, okay, time has passed, power creep's kind of happened, maybe it won't be such an issue.
They're wrong.
Yeah, I think that I still fear this deck a lot. I've always been kind of terrified.
You got to think
Dragon
about
Link.
when like Black Dragon and White Dragon came out and how long, and like the fact that they were even in the conversation in 2022, 2020, is insane for how old those cards are.
That stuff ages so well. I mean, it's pretty timeless, that those cards and engines and stuff. Like, it's not really something that I think will get crept out easily. So,
oh well, here we go.
So that's pretty much the ban list. All in all, I would say it's a pretty good one. I think it
hits a lot of stuff.
Every major thing, and you get Snake Eye Fire King hits, you get your Bell hits, you get some fun little things back to work with, and you get a hit to stun, and that's like always something that
stun
people
hit
do
is
not.
Always a good hit.
People do not love stun.
Then, that can't be true, because if some people are playing stun, they must love stun.
I mean, I think with those stun decks, it's just Modern Yu-Gi-Oh has a way of driving you into a corner a little. Like, I think if you're not. So, some people have something wrong with them. I'm some people where, like, I will still play the decks that I want to play as best I can, and I will, like, ram them against these top decks over and over and over again in ranked ladder and all that stuff.
I knew something was wrong with you when you picked up the level 9 deck.
A generator?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've been playing like Voiceless Voice. I think that deck really kind of sucks ass. Like, compared to the other top things.
Compared to generators?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's way better than generators. But like, compared to Snake Eye Fire King, compared to Yubel, compared to Tyr, Voiceless Voice feels honest by comparison. But I still play it and like deal with that. However,
this just in, Voiceless Voice is fair.
I think people would agree with me on that. Maybe it depends on what you play. But conversely, I think that there are people who aren't crazy, and they do the more rational thing, which is, well, I can't afford to play Snake Eye or Yubel, so I'm going to just build stun. And if I can't have fun, no one can have fun. I think that's like a big part of the mentality. Choice. I think so, or at least I think it's the easy choice.
I do think to some degree it is a choice that Konami kind of steers you into with the way the game is played now.
Yeah, because like the game has gotten so fast and combos have gotten so intense that like we're beyond just basic kind of removal cards being able to save you. Like, you can't really use a smashing ground to help deal with a board. I mean, you're barely even able to get away with lightning storms and evenlies, because even those can get negated. So the last remaining choice is just like, I don't fucking care anymore. I'm normal summoning Fossil Dyna. I'm activating Dimensional Fissure. I'm equipping Moon Mirror Shield. I'm setting Solemn and everything else. And like, you will not play. And so basically, you cannot special summon, you cannot swing over this, and your monsters are all getting banished. And like, I don't care anymore. And I think like Yu-Gi-Oh drives people into that corner because the decks are overwhelmingly strong, and it doesn't feel like there's any other option that you have.
So I have a theory. My theory is this: Tenpai is not in Master Duel, right?
Yeah, it's probably coming later in the month.
My logic is this. If Tenpai, in my opinion, serves a lot of the same use as stun decks, as these. I really don't want to play Yu-Gi-Oh with you. I just want to like.
I just need a win.
I need a win. Like I think with Stun, it's more so I want us both. I want us both to suffer.
Yeah, we're gonna.
But Tenpai is like I want to get you out of here. I'm not really trying to play with you. And I think they foresaw that a format that had Tenpai, which we all know is a strong deck, plus all the people who love playing Stun,
it might just be too miserable.
Rough time.
I mean, I think a lot of people will be pivoting to Tenpai when it comes out because, like, in a best of one, I think it's going to be like a really annoying deck.
Oh my gosh!
Best
of one with Tenpai.
It quickly kind of clears your board. It's hard to interact with. It OTKs you. So we'll see. I mean, they might even release Tenpai with a few pre-hits on consistency, like release with some cards at 2. They've done that in the past. But all in all, cool ban list. I don't have really anything I disagree with on the ban list. I would give it like a 9 out of 10.
I disagree with Colossus being at 3 because that makes it just sound like Thunder Dragon. Like we really don't do that. That Thunder Dragons are soft. We're not.
Right. Okay.
Why am I talking as if I'm a Thunder Dragon?
Yeah, as if you're like playing them.
It was my last like competitive deck, so I do have some feelings.
Yeah, I've been playing a little bit of Thunder Dragon in Retro Rumble.
I hate you for that.
Different type of Thunder Dragon.
I hate you for that.
But okay, so a last couple of like quick little Yu-Gi-Oh news bits. These aren't like major things. There've been a lot of different figures. There's like the Kyoto number 39 Utopia figure.
Okay, I did see that one.
You seen this?
Yes.
Yeah, pretty cool.
It's so detailed. I can't wait to see it painted.
Yeah, there's also like the Kaiba Corp store, which it's like this pop-up style store that they have in like Osaka or in like different places in Japan. Mm-hmm. They have these Karibo and Pot of Greed like mini bags, like these shoulder bags. Pot of
Greed bag is that's gonna go for a bag.
Yeah, I really would love to have one.
Like Birkin, no, get me the Pot of Greed.
Also, Monster Arts announced a new Dark Magician figure, so
I feel like it's cool, but we've had a lot of Dark Magician statues. It's happened. Point.
And then also, Mega House has announced 2 new figures. There's Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragon, which, gotta say, looks really, really awesome.
If I liked Chaos Max in any way, I think
exactly.
I hate Chaos Max.
I don't have any opinions on Chaos Max.
Well, you didn't have Larry summoning it on you all the time.
Yeah, that's true. And then there's also the Silent Magician. So you're getting a Silent Magician figure.
Oh, that's fire.
Yeah, you get...
Now, that's a magician we don't have many figures of.
Right. So some cool Yu-Gi-Oh figures happening. They've shown the New York Comic-Con game map that you'll be able to get if you attend that event. It's Zane and Chimera Tech Overdragon with like that new limiter removal art.
Oh, okay. I was trying to figure out why Zane, why now, but okay, limiter removal.
Because otherwise there hasn't really been like new Cyber Dragon stuff.
No. I mean, there's Cyber Dragons in Duel Links. I mean, in Rush Duel Links. That's the only new thing for them.
And then Konami has released an official ad showcasing a few cards that will be part of the upcoming TCG set Quarter Century Bonanza. So
I have not
actually seen the ad, but there's thankfully a picture thanks to Yu-Gi-Oh! News TCG, who does a wonderful job of providing us with all our Yu-Gi-Oh!
Wait,
news.
So what am I looking at here exactly?
So Quarter Century Bonanza is that set that's coming out in November, right?
I thought that was like a follow-up to the
Rarity Collection 3.
Okay.
Effectively, it's just called Quarter Century Bonanza. And so they showed some of the cards you can expect to get in it. We see Super Polymerization, Drill Warrior, and Elemental Hero Flame Wingman, Dark Paladin, Diabell Star, Promethean Princess, and House Dragon Maid with an alternative art. So
yeah, I caught the House Dragon Maid alternative art. I remember people were talking about that. I have a question. When was Drill Warrior's last printing?
Maybe 2015.
Because at first, my first thought was like, why is Drill Warrior here? Then I thought for a second, I can't remember the last time that card was printed.
Yeah, it's been a bit.
It was like an AP04, some type of a pack.
I mean, it's probably been in a tournament pack. It's probably been in like a Legendary Collection 5Ds maybe.
But Drill Warrior is old.
It's been a minute. I'm
gonna look it up because that might be a really good reprint at this point.
Yeah, I mean for like Edison.
Edison, I don't know what other formats it would be useful in.
Yeah, Quarter Century Bonanza. I'd kind of forgotten that it exists and that it's happening, but it's a thing. I mean, I don't say that in a disparaging way. I'm excited for it. I just
2014, so it was in Legendary Collection 5Ds.
Okay, 2014, yeah. 10 years, man.
Yeah, before that, the last one was Duelist Pack, you say.
Wow. And what year is it? Like 2011?
Yep, 2011.
Jeez. Okay. Well, so I mean, I know that the Quarter Century Bonanza is doing the thing where there's like a pool of cards that are specifically retro, sort of. Which I guess is maybe where Drill Warrior comes in, and there's also just the more modern reprints. It seems like it'll be a cool set. We'll probably just be finding out more about that after Rage of the Abyss dies down a little. Still haven't got anything on like the new Blue Eyes structure. Like I thought they would announce that by now, but
I really thought it was coming out for the holiday. I mean, they have time if they want to announce it for December still, but like
I hope they do.
It really should come out during the holiday season.
Yeah, that would be such a great holiday gift for people.
I'm gonna be mad when somebody buys it for me. I heard you still like Yu-Gi-Oh! I was like, oh, but I hate Blue Eyes.
So, I think that's all the Yu-Gi-Oh! News, I believe. It is now time
for card game news.
Card game news and big Magic news this week.
The biggest.
You want to lead us off?
Yeah, I'll lead us off. Give me a second to open it up. Magic the Gathering fans push volunteers out with alleged threats of violence.
Man, that is a fun headline to read, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know. So I guess the recap for anyone sleeping under a rock. Last week, they released a new ban list for the competitive EDH format, right?
Yes.
And it banned 4 cards, 3 of which were pretty controversial, both for being quite expensive cards. So people felt they lost their investments on these cards, but also for being enablers, staples that allowed many different decks to be played.
Those were Dockside Extortionist, Jeweled Lotus, Mana Crypt, and Nadu Winged Wisdom.
Yeah, so lots of controversy about this, lots of pushback. People were angry with the Commander Rules Committee. Yes. Which I had only found out about for the first time.
Yeah, I think a lot of us didn't even know this was a thing.
I thought Wizards did that, but apparently there's like a separate was a separate rules committee that handled this. Thanks to all the backlash, which I'm told included, harassment, anger, death threats, and doxing. Because God forbid gamers ever just behave.
Oh, no. There's only one thing you can do when your favorite game does something you don't like.
Death threats.
You threaten their lives. That's how that goes.
Yeah, apparently it was pretty bad. And so
I have a statement from one of the RC members here. He posted this to Twitter, now known as X.
Yeah, okay.
As a result of the threats last week against RC members, it has become impossible for us to continue operating as an independent entity, the Commander RC said in a statement published to X. Given that we have asked Wizards of the Coast to assume responsibility for Commander, and they will be making decisions and announcements going forward.
Yeah.
Look what y'all did.
So, we're sad about I'm just continuing reading these tweets. We're sad about the end of this era and hopeful for the future. Wizards of the Coast have given strong assurances they do not want to change the vision of the format. Committee members have been invited to contribute as individual advisors to the new management framework. That's pretty nice of Wizards to offer such a thing. The Rules Committee would like to express our gratitude to all of the CAG members who have contributed their wisdom and perspective over the years. Finally, we want to thank all the players who have made this game so successful. We look forward to interacting as members of the community. Please be excellent to each other. So, basically, here's what I'm hearing. People harassed them so much and threatened their safety that the Rules Committee was just like, fuck it, we're done. Like, we can't do this. It's not safe anymore. We will let Wizards handle this.
So you gotta think about it. This wasn't their jobs. They had lives outside of all this. They ran that committee because they loved the game and were members of the community. And the community bit them.
I have thoughts on that. Like just this whole, kind of community thing that Magic's got. But I do also have the statement from Wizards themselves on the official Magic website.
Yes.
It's a long one, so strap in. The past week has been tumultuous for Commander fans, members of the Commander Rules Committee, and the Magic community as a whole. Along the way, we've seen players and fans share a diverse range of passionate opinions, far too many of which were harmful or malicious. True. Below and over the next few days and weeks, we'll be discussing quite a bit about Commander, starting with the most pressing. Over the past week, the conversation has escalated, culminating with unacceptable personal threats to the safety of members of the Commander Rules Committee. This is something we will not tolerate. No matter how you feel about something in Magic, it is never appropriate to threaten somebody.
Never.
Everyone at Wizards of the Coast is united on this front. We will not hesitate to take action against individuals who threaten to harm community members or employees. This week has also demonstrated the truly monumental task that faced the Commander Rules Committee. The Commander RC is made up of 5 talented, caring individuals, all with other jobs and lives, which they must balance with managing the most popular format in Magic. It results in incredible amounts of work, time spent deliberating, and exposure to the public. Nobody deserves to feel unsafe for supporting the game they love. Unfortunately, the task of managing Commander has far outgrown the scope and safety of being attached to any 5 people. So today, in partnership with members of the existing Rules Committee, we're announcing that the Rules Committee is giving management of the Commander format to the game design team at Wizards of the Coast.
All right, bum.
Pause here. What do we think so far about this, the statement and what's happening?
So it finally happened. The greatest thing to ever happen to Magic the Gathering is now fully under the control of Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah.
I don't think players understood just how perilous this could be.
What do you mean by that?
Because, I think a lot of the death threats came from people who lost money or who stand to lose money from the banning of these cards.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I don't think that would motivate someone to, threaten someone's life unless you maybe lost some thousands or millions of dollars.
Yeah.
But you stand not to gain much going forward because we've seen how ban lists work in concert in other card games, and how in Yu-Gi-Oh it feels like
sales vehicles.
Yeah, it feels like that they drive sales. They'll keep your cards from hitting certain price points, and you're just giving all that power to Wizards. They already make the cards. Now they'll decide the legality of them.
Well, I'll start by saying that I like that they did at least condemn the behavior, because we sit here and joke about it, but this is serious business. This death threat thing, like, we as gamers as a whole, like, have got to get past this death threat thing.
You can't include me in that.
Yeah, no, and that's saying I'm not sending anyone death threats.
I'm not. If that's what we doing, yeah. I'm not a gamer.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like it, but it does feel like it's so common in this community of like just card game players, video game players. Like whenever a patch comes out and characters are changed or whatever, heroes are changed, cards are banned and stuff's introduced, there's so much vitriol. I mean, we saw even recently that the Yu-Gi-Oh community was hitting a bit of a crescendo with how angry they were with Konami.
The horse memes.
And little did we know that this was going to be happening a couple of weeks after. But like, sending death threats is insane. I always wonder when these people send these death threats, like what do they want to happen? Like, because I feel like if you reverse the bans, I mean, the market's still going to be in turmoil, and it just feels like now there's... Anyway, don't send that stuff. Like, unironically,
act like adults, because we know y'all are grown.
Yeah,
you're Magic players.
I mean, yeah. So act like adults. Be mature. I've never. How people are just unable to express themselves in any way that doesn't just include like threatening.
Well,
livelihoods.
I think you have to take a look at ourselves to some degree. We're all grown men playing like games that were designed for kids originally. So I don't think we're the best adjusted people in the world, but I do think we're better than this. I think we're definitely better than this, but some of us are not. And we need to hold those people accountable because like this situation, they can make it worse for everybody involved.
Yeah, I do hope that the people that were involved in like death threats, doxing are like actually, brought to some justice or at least banned or whatever. I don't know, because
that's hard to do here. Well,
it's tough. It's the internet.
And then
there's no telling.
Because if this were Yu-Gi-Oh, right? Konami would ban them from official events.
Commander's not really like that.
Yeah,
it's like the fan format. I'm going to get into that actually too. You
got to start showing ID to buy like your like Commander precons or new sets. Like, oh, you're banned. You can't buy any of this.
That'd be awful. I've already heard people who are pretty weary of this whole like Wizards taking over Commander rules thing.
Yeah.
For the reasons you said, right? Like their goals are profits.
I'm not saying that it will immediately get worse like from the get-go. It's just that the rules committee didn't have any other goals than to keeping the game interesting, fun, and competitive. Wizards has other reasons, they're a corporation.
Well, here's what they've got to say. Commander's always been a community-focused format, and this move in management does not change that. It's okay, guys, you can trust us. While ownership of the format may be changing, members of the rules committee and others in the community will continue to be involved, and the vision for a social format will not change.
A seat at the table.
Yeah, we've had some preliminary conversations already about what we would like to accomplish, and have some ideas we will be rolling out together in the months to come. Working with the community to craft this format is critical to all of us. Now here's where it gets interesting. We have opened a new Discord channel on the official Magic Discord.
Uh-oh.
It's in the #Commander News channel. And we'll also have a weekly MTG stream talking about this tomorrow, October 1st. That's already happened, at 10 a.m. So that's interesting that they're like making it kind of like, we want your feedback and input. I think that they're trying to help players feel more like involved, like, your feedback will be heard. I'm mixed on that. What do you think about that?
So, we've seen company-created Discord servers and card gamers before.
Yeah, we have.
And when
you go remote dual Discord server.
Many times, the players who care enough to hop into these Discord servers are a little too impassioned, and they don't actually help. Now, maybe it's different here. Maybe it's different.
Spam, memes, slurs.
It could be better.
The worst.
But
I think that it's soon to be doing that, given that like emotions are still running high.
Yeah, because right now this change doesn't immediately make anybody happy, right? Nobody that was mad about this ban list is now happy because Wizards has taken over.
It feels like a real roller coaster of news if you think about it. Like so much whiplash, huh? So they also say, what's next? While this is still very early, we do want to share one of the things we've just started working on with the Rules Committee. A more objective approach to deck power level and additional guidance and shared language for players to find games that match the type of game they're trying to play.
Oh, that is interesting.
That is interesting. And actually, I know we're kind of being like a little cynical here. I do like the sound of this, and I'm going to tell more about it.
Yeah, that power level thing.
Because people have wanted this in like Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't know if it's, It isn't anywhere near finished yet, but as part of building this with the community, we're opening it up for feedback, thoughts, and your version of how this will look. Think of this like an open beta. Here's the idea. There are 4 power brackets, and every commander deck can be placed in one of these brackets by examining the cards and combinations in your deck and comparing them to lists we'll need the community help to create. You can imagine bracket 1 is the baseline of an average pre-constructed deck or below, and bracket 4 is high power. For the lower tiers, we may lean on a mixture of cards and a description of how the deck functions, and the higher tiers are likely defined by more explicit lists of cards. For example, you can imagine bracket 1, there's 1 through 4.
Yeah.
There's brackets 1 through 4. You can imagine bracket 1 has cards that can easily go into any deck, like Swords to Plowshares, Grave Titan, and Cultivate. Things I know nothing about.
Those are all very basic staples in Commander.
Whereas bracket 4 would have cards like Vampiric Tutor, Armageddon, and Grim Monolith.
Those are very specific but very good cards in Commander.
Cards that make games too much more consistent, lopsided, or fast than the average deck can engage with.
Yeah, makes sense.
In this system, your deck would be defined by its highest bracket card or cards. This makes it clear what cards go where and what kind of cards you can expect people to be playing. For example, if Ancient Tome is a bracket 4 card, your deck would generally be considered a 4. But if it's part of a Tome-themed deck, the conversation may be, my deck is a 4 with Ancient Tome, but a 2 without it. Is that okay with everyone? So that's like
okay. So your strongest card would dictate what power level you're at or which bracket you're in, and that's how you can start the conversation. And there's nuance, like they just said.
Like I have a power 4 card, but like outside of this card, my deck is a 2. So I'm not like running any other.
That makes such good sense. I can't even lie.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Will this system guarantee perfectly matched games? No, and that might be fine at your table. But if it gets the conversation started from a shared understanding, that's already great for the table. We'd love to hear what you all think about this and which power brackets you would place certain cards in. We'll also be evaluating the current banned card list alongside the rules committee and the community. We will not ban additional cards as part of this evaluation. So that's a nice assurance to give people.
But will they unban cards?
That is a big question. While discussion of the ban list started this, immediate changes to the list are not our priority. For now, the safety and well-being of the rules committee is the priority. What has happened this past week is entirely unacceptable.
Facts.
By working together as a team, we can shoulder the responsibility of this format and everything that comes along with it. Stay tuned for more to come. In the meantime, join our Discord and discuss further. We'll see you at the weekly stream. Cool. So that's their statement. It's very long, but
I was skeptical of this whole Wizards thing, but formalizing this power system that people can't seem to agree on, that could be good.
I like it. I mean, I think that they took a pretty good approach to dealing with this. I knew they obviously had to release a statement quickly.
Yeah.
Because things were getting out of hand, and, I'm glad they condemned the behavior. That's good. I think those people do need to be...
Ooh, what if they didn't condemn the behavior, but instead threaten the lives of the people who threaten the lives of the original people?
Isn't it funny how that works? Where that would be considered so awful, but then it's totally fine for us to send death threats to developers. But if they were to threaten us, what would happen?
Hey, Rakdos697, you should die.
Yeah, and here's how we'll do it.
If anyone goes by Rakdos697, I didn't mean it.
Yeah, so I think that was a good start. I think that opening things for feedback is a nice gesture. I worry that a lot of that will be unproductive feedback. Like if players just join this Discord server and they're just screaming and shouting.
But then again, I mean, Magic is known to having more of an open door situation with their community. Now, in this case, it did not go. It did not go well.
So that's something I kind of wanted to talk about, actually, I'll finish up by saying that I think that the power level system that they're working on sounds good too. People have wanted that in Yu-Gi-Oh for a long time. But I think there's a conversation to be had here about how involved should a company be with its community? This really made me question my own thoughts on that. Because for the longest time, I've been this firm advocate that okay, Yu-Gi-Oh needs community management.
Transparency
and things like that. And I still feel that way. But I have started to think this rules committee thing and, the doxing and the death threats and just the backlash of it all was kind of made possible because this rules committee was fairly public facing and people kind of knew who to direct their anger at. They knew the names of the people. They knew, and then the rules committee even went on after the first day or two of backlash, were saying here are the people who kind of vouched for these cards, and here's one. So they were relaying. Here's were some of the discussions that were going on in these back rooms,
right?
And so in the hopes of maybe giving people a better understanding of their thought process, but ultimately really kind of just adding fuel to the fire as people were now able to disagree and oh, your logic sucks, or oh, so it's her who did it. Yeah. She's the one who thought that was
this is the one I'm threatening,
or he's the one, and so. It kind of makes you wonder, is it okay that Magic players have that relationship with the group that makes these rules? Thoughts?
It strictly depends on how thick the skins are of the people who are the targets of this. The transparency, I think, in general is a good thing. It does leave you open for criticism. There are times when companies and people deserve criticism, and there are times when that criticism is it stops being productive. Mm-hmm. I think at a base level, it was fine to criticize the list they came out with because they came out with it. They gave you their reasons as if this was supposed to be a discussion that goes forward. There were people who took that way too far.
Yeah.
They missed the point about discussing this and went straight to, I want to kill all of you. That's not useful. Should we treat all card gamers as if they are the very worst of us?
Right.
Or should we
just deal with the worst of us on a case by case basis.
Yeah, and then like treat everyone else like we're grown adults who respect each other, and we just like enjoy playing our card games.
Yeah. So you think that's probably the better approach? Is leave that open.
I'm so terrified of
answering,
of saying that's the better approach, and then like it comes out, it got worse.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like because these people had to like fear for their safety. And even with Wizards, there's kind of this. I've been observing the Twitter conversation and kind of trying to learn what I can. I should, of course, preface this by saying I am not a regular Magic the Gathering player. Played a little Commander, whatever. Like, that's sort of the extent of it. I will probably buy like the Final Fantasy collab next year, just for collection, and that's like it. But I kind of get the impression that Wizards. And like let's start with the Commander format. Okay. I actually feel like the Commander format has been put under too much pressure to be too many things to too many different people. I saw somebody actually saying this on Twitter, where they felt that too much has been put on Commander's shoulders because it is supposed to be. It's the most popular Magic format. It's the format that everybody tells you to like start off with Commander. Yeah. It's like fun. You hang out with your friends and play. And it's like 4 players, and it's really relaxed and cool. And like mostly it is.
Until it's not.
But then like also it can be very much not that. You have to have this social contract with people. You have to kind of agree on deck power levels. There's obviously going to be like kind of people team up in this favoritism. And at a base level, that's part of the appeal, and it's fun. Like let's kind of like politic a bit with each other and like form little fun alliances. But then also like, well, okay, I brought my super strong deck to the table and no one wants to play with me. I'm not getting to have fun. Right? And they always team up on me when I try to do my infinite mana combo on turn 2.
Yeah.
That's not fun, right? For me, anyway. I'm saying me as the proverbial more try-hard player. And like you've got, these just different stakeholders, we'll call them, where it's like the casual player, the competitive player, the investor, the vendor. And right now, like because of this ban list, the investor kind of feels gypped by, like their grift got cut off. Right? You banned these cards that were worth hundreds of dollars. I was hoarding them. And like, I was trying to, pull this card game investing thing. And like, now my values have tanked. And it's their fault because they shouldn't have done that. They haven't even had a ban list in like 3 or 4 years. So like, who are they to, go and ruin my investment? So they're angry. Yep. The casuals are angry because maybe they like spent money on the cards. Like I finally bought my Jeweled Lotus so that my like weak tier 1, we're going by the Magic's tiers. My low power deck can maybe do something fun with its like high cost Commander. And they're angry at the ban list for that reason. Competitors might be angry at the ban list for like a different reason because like, their deck itself like isn't as good anymore and they were competing with it before. Right. So it's like finance person's angry because they lost money. Casual's angry because maybe they just spent some money on this card finally and they finally could. Competitors are angry because their deck itself isn't useful. And then vendors are probably like weary because groups 1, 2, and 3 are angry.
Yeah.
And it feels like for the longest time, Commander was tasked with keeping these 4 groups happy. Like, and that can't have been easy. And then you add in the fact that like there's a rules committee that's separate from Wizards that's doing these rules, but then Wizards are releasing like the Commander cards.
Yep.
I can't put my finger on it, but something about that feels odd. Like it's a fan-made format, but we're following the rules of like a committee that's making. It's like it feels like it was always going to maybe end up this way with something just snapping.
Yeah. They were kind of on this tightrope. As long as no one group did too much to the Commander format, we were going to keep kicking this can down the road. Yeah. Then the rule committee said, "I think it's time that we," like, because they probably saw something in the community around these cards, and they said, "I think it's time we do something." And but things around Commander has changed, where once they were able to make adjustments to the format in the interest of the community, but I think the community has multiplied many times the size from when they started, and there was no way to make them all happy.
Yeah, there's too many exigencies going on where like we're just Group A can mostly get along with Group B and C and D, but like only while the balance is maintained. Like because any one group being upset isn't so bad, but like if they all kind of feel burned at once, or 3 out of 4 of them, it's so I don't know.
So the world was in harmony and in balance until the RC attacked.
The Avatar, Master of the Elements, disappeared.
Wizards of the Coast, the Avatar.
I mean, it feels like I guess the rules committee disappeared.
Well, I mean, they were the ones under fire. I feel like they caused it. It feels like.
But yeah, I also sometimes I'm just like, man, Commander, just play how you want to play anyway. Like, I mean, if you're playing at the kitchen table with your friends, it's not like you have to follow this ban list, right? Like
that is true, though.
I guess it still affects the availability of the cards, though, and stuff. Maybe so.
I think the issue is there's always going to be differing opinions on whether or not you should follow the ban list.
Oh.
If I show up with my Jeweled Lotus at this pod, let's say it's a 5-person pod. If there's even one person who thinks that we should not use banned cards, well, now we have a problem.
Now there's tension. Yep. Yeah. Well, I like the power level thing. That idea sounds nice.
Yeah, I'm actually.
It kind of sounds like, everybody will talk about how like Smogon works for Pokemon.
Right.
And people oftentimes want something similar for Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't know if this is going to like actually, how well it will do. Like, will people take to it well?
They won't.
But they won't.
In Yu-Gi-Oh, we've seen how community-led efforts to rebalance the game or rerun the game.
They don't really.
Like, well, who was it? That was
ARG.
ARG.
To do the ban list. And
ARG was hated.
Yeah.
Even they were loved at one point, then they were hated.
I mean, I think like I like that they say in their message, it's like it's not so much about like Wizards is not telling you what you have to do at your table. Mm-hmm. What they are telling you is they're giving you
buy these new precons.
Yeah, buy these new precons. They're giving you a foundation through which to start conversations, and I think that is a good thing.
That's what the RC thought they were doing.
Well, they didn't have the tier system, I guess.
They didn't have the tier system, but I think.
But they were.
They probably did want a larger discussion about that list, and then it devolved fast and in a hurry.
Yeah, so they're just telling you here. Listen, you tell people my deck is a 2, but it's got like 1 level 3 card in it, 1 level 4. Are you guys okay with that? Because at least like we have, I guess I'm saying we, like I don't fucking play this game, but like. We have terms we can use to communicate with each other. Because like if I think about it in a Yu-Gi-Oh context, right? Like, even if I just told you I'm running hand traps, that doesn't tell you that much about my deck.
It tells me I don't want to play with you.
Because, some hand traps are really obnoxious.
It's like, wait, does that mean you also use Synchro Monsters?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, hell no.
So it's like, if I'm running, like, in our duels that we sometimes do for fun, mm-hmm. We've like, Ash and Imperm are like kind of
we allow to be. Those are our like safe hand traps.
Yeah.
Anything like lower power level than those is cool. Anything,
but we're
stronger.
Not playing like Shifter, Nibiru, Droll because like those are just purely.
Can I use Mo Charmy?
We'll have to decide on that.
What about the new one?
The jury's gonna be out on that. So I don't know. I like. Good luck to everyone involved.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, I hope that they can kind of. Time will tell where this goes. They still haven't like given concrete stuff. They're still working on it.
Mm-hmm.
I hope for the best, and I'm not saying that like in sarcasm. I genuinely do because it seems like this got out of hand really fast, and I want people to just be able to like enjoy their game and not have to really worry about all this extra stuff. And if it can actually make Commander pods better for it, then great.
Now I can run my Aragorn Uniter deck and say it's a 1. It has the 1 ring, but it's a 1, guys. It's a 1.
Yeah. So, cool. Any other thoughts on the Magic stuff?
I mean, let us know what you guys think in the comments. I'm more interested in what you guys think because like Paul doesn't play like very often, and I'm very new. I'm very green to Magic the Gathering and Commander. So I kind of just want to know what the audience thinks.
How people are feeling about it. Cool. Okay. Well.
So awesome. Speaking of trading card games.
Yeah.
Wait. No, I'm going to get to the Pokemon one first.
Okay.
Scotts Valley Police Department makes officer trading cards to hand out. Oh, wait, that was a different one. Oh, well, here we are.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there is a neighborhood. I don't know where Scotts Valley is. I guess they've seen the trading card boom.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, like the kids like trading cards, and we want people to be more connected to our police department. So they made officer trading cards.
Oh, wait, whoa, what? So, like, I thought you meant like, the police were like handing out Pokemon cards to kids.
No, they made their own cards that they're handing out to kids.
So, like, there's different police officers on the cards?
Yes, with fun facts about them on the cards for community engagement. Oh. Can you imagine? A kid shows you a kid shows up, maybe they want to like trade some Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and the first page of their binder are all the cops in the city. Doesn't that feel weird?
Keep reading. I must know more before I weigh in.
So it says, sworn staff members will have them to hand out to kids. Each card lists a fun fact about the officer on it. There is even a special group photo trading card.
Right.
Here's a quote. One of our sergeants took all the photos, so this was definitely an in-house labor of love from start to finish. Some of our officers even put a little flair into their photos, but you'll have to collect them all to find out who.
All right, so, is that it?
It was short. I just thought it was a funny story because I found many different trading card things this week.
Right. Okay, so there's a city or a small town or whatever that its police department has made trading cards that the officers will hand out to the kids, and you can
get to know your local police.
Yeah,
collect them, trade them.
What do you think about that?
I just wonder what the resale value will be.
Yeah, I guess that's true. That's important. Got to be a collector. The premise sounds like it came from a good place.
It's one of those things where
it's
if we take it at face value and look at it from the best side we can.
Yes.
It could be a fun community building effort, and through trading cards, something that we are familiar with. I do wonder how that quality is going to be. Are you just laminated pieces of paper?
They can't be amazing. They're not going to have like some professional printing company.
I need them to be at least at Card Fight Vanguard level of quality. I need that strong back on the card with that little glossy finish.
I will be grateful to have that. I don't think that we're
and embossed logo.
I mean, I think that it's smart to kind of do something that kids can relate to. They're clearly trying to improve, police-citizen relations and maybe grow trust and bonds with these kids from a young age so that they learn not to like hate and distrust their local police officers, but to get to know them, know who they are, know what they do, and feel safe in like sharing information with them maybe, or like coming to them for help.
But if a cop gave me a booster pack and I ripped it open and found no Pokemon cards as a kid,
I'd be disappointed.
I would distrust them for life.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be happy. I mean, and so the thing is, like, at a base level, I think that it's smart. I think that it's a good enough idea. In fear of maybe like, getting a bit too political about this.
Oh, here we go.
I will just say that your opinion on cops will probably largely color your sort of whether or not you think this is a good thing.
That's true.
I think a less charitable way of putting it would maybe be that this is sort of like a propaganda thing. Some people even use the term like, copaganda. I've heard that thrown out online. From like, if you're kind of one of those like ACAB, right? All cops are bad. Like if that's your belief, I will not reveal where my beliefs lie on the spectrum, but if you are of that persuasion.
You are wearing blue today.
I do not have a thin blue line on, I'll tell you that much. But like, if you are less trusting of cops, then you might think that this is them trying to almost, like recruit the kids, brainwash the kids, kind of like get the kids to trust them, snitch even, turn in their friends.
Oh no,
like,
don't do that. Don't snitch.
So it probably won't even like really get off the ground.
No,
like,
that was my first thought. I think a kid would take the pack thinking it's Pokemon cards, not see a single one of them, ends up straight in the dumpster.
Yeah, I mean, I also wonder what happens when like that cop is like just leaves or is fired or quits. Like does their card become worth more?
But your secret rare Officer Morales card now becomes even rarer because he's not in the force anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm not.
I got a full art Officer Fields.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a little odd. The intentions sound good enough, but it's a little.
Now for the story I meant to click on. That one was actually an accident.
It's a fun story. Like, please, people, try to keep it civil. And I know people have their opinions on police officers. I do too, right? Like, I'm sure you do too.
Hey, don't include me in this.
You have opinions on police officers.
I don't believe anything.
I assume. You don't believe anything? Okay. Right.
I'm a chaos agent.
Yeah. So, just try to keep it respectful,
But speaking of police and trading cards, Keller family business recovering after burglars steal valuable Pokemon cards. It's another week, another theft.
Another week, another Pokemon theft.
So, Griff's Gifts, a beloved Keller boutique.
Wait, Grift?
Griff, like Griffy, but Griff.
I thought they were saying this is a grift. Grift's Gifts.
It's really hard to say that without it sounding that way, but it's Griff's Gifts.
Okay.
A beloved Keller boutique owned by a husband and wife duo passionate about toys and gifts was just settling into its new store on Roof Snow Drive after moving locations back in May. This is why I hate local news posts. They say things like I know where it is.
It's like we don't know where this is based. Yeah.
But early Monday morning, their sense of security was shattered. Here's a quote from Rebecca Griffin. I have a security system app on my phone, and it made this strange noise I'd never heard before. That's probably the alarm.
Yeah.
Surveillance footage shows two men using a chair from a nearby restaurant to break into the store. Once inside, they went straight for the Pokemon cards. They were in and out in 1 minute. When I saw them stealing our cards, I was like, really? Of all things? Though shocked at first, Rebecca knows Pokemon cards are valuable commodities. Police believe the burglars targeted the store after seeing expensive cards on Instagram where Griffin's son posts them for sale. Among the stolen cards were one worth $350 and another nearly $400, contributing to a total loss of $2,500, including the shattered glass, and damages reached over $4,000. That's crazy. A store can be out $4,000 because somebody saw cool Pokemon cards on Instagram.
Yeah, that's wild. Well, I mean, it's another Pokemon theft story. It's interesting that these people will, in many cases, not even like distinguish. Like, they'll go to any place. Like, sometimes it's like a dedicated card store. Sometimes it's just like, here's a place that just generally sells kind of.
They'll go to your house.
You
know, they think
mom
you got
and pop shop.
Just like paper, like Pokemon money. They'll go to your house and break in. They don't care. They're gonna do it. So this family, they specifically said they're going online only with as far as Pokemon like retail goes. They're not gonna do physical cards in shop anymore. Which, I mean, they'll have to have the physical card somewhere. But so here's my thing. Mm-hmm. Maybe, just maybe, we should all start being very careful when it comes to dealing in expensive cards, especially Pokemon, because seemingly every week someone has to get robbed for some Pokemon cards.
Yeah, got to hit a quota.
In certain communities, you learn not to flex on social media when you have expensive items that other people might covet or want. But in the card game community, we love to show off our shiny cardboard. We'll show it to anybody at any time. But there are people specifically targeting these like Pokemon Instagram posts or whatever social media you're posting on. They'll say, "Ooh, they got like cards worth over $1,000. I'm gonna break in."
Yeah.
I think we all need to be a lot more careful with that. We didn't have to be before. Thanks a lot. I'm not saying it's Logan Paul's fault, but thanks a lot, Logan Paul. Times have changed.
Yeah. That just sucks. It's hard to have an opinion because, I mean, every week we've got a new Pokemon theft, and the message stays the same. Like, don't do this. But also the people stealing aren't even like listening to this podcast.
That's true.
Because these people sound like, they're that crowd where like we heard Pokemon cards are worth a lot. And so we kind of just
take whatever.
Like, we're not distinguishing a bunch. So,
like, well, guys, get better. If you do have expensive cardboard, get better security. You shouldn't need it, but you do.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to, but no. Well, speaking of Pokemon, did you hear about Pokemon TCG Pocket?
I remember when it was announced.
Yeah, so it's actually out now. But
wait.
only in New Zealand. Yeah, so they
download that right now.
Yeah, Pokemon fans are already playing Pokemon TCG Pocket early ahead of its release. So they released it in New Zealand. Obviously, you can play it through like VPNs, APK files.
Too much effort.
Maybe dabbled in something like that on Android or something.
Oh, I never have. I'm a good boy.
Right, Mr. Mobile Gamer. So Pokemon TCG Pocket. It's the sort of simplified Pokemon TCG game. It kind of reminds you a little bit of Duel Links in that way. They say, welcome New Zealand and recent New Zealand transplants to the game.
Did someone move to New Zealand just to play this game?
I think that actually it's tongue-in-cheek. This is a tweet from the official Pokemon TCG Pocket Twitter account. And it just says, welcome New Zealand and recent NZ transplants to the game. I think they know that people are probably just VPNing to play it. Join the Pokemon TCG Pocket community forums to connect with others and share your experiences and leave feedback. We'd love to hear from you. But yeah, so Pokemon TCG Pocket's available. The selling point of the game, of course, is that you can open booster packs. You're allowed to open 2 booster packs a day for free, and then you can, of course, buy more. You can collect cards with nostalgic illustrations, new art that's only found in Pokemon TCG Pocket, and cool special visual effects, like this Parallax Effect Charizard, where you can rotate it around and it looks 3D, which I gotta say is really cool. Customize your card collections. You can decorate and personalize your digital card collection with different features like display boards, binders, and other flares, like special effects that you can apply to the card when it's played. And engage in quick battles. So it's got streamlined rules that have been optimized for mobile devices to enjoy quick single-player and multiplayer battles during your spare time. The app introduces various features that make battling approachable for beginners and casual players, including auto battle, rental decks, and auto build. So you can maybe my understanding is probably you can pick a Pokemon and it'll just automatically build you a deck around that Pokemon. Which sounds fun.
Duel Links does that too.
Yeah, I think
it's not good, but it can get the job done.
So there's not much to the story, just that it's available kind of early in some territories. And
I was thinking that one thing that could be funny, since they launched the game in New Zealand, they noticed that their total active players on launch day was larger than the population of New Zealand. They're like, okay, the APK is going around.
The game does officially launch on October 30th, and all progress will carry over to the main game, they say. So
New Zealand gets to start an entire month early?
I mean, that's the case with a lot of things, though.
I don't like that.
Stuff early.
Now it's New Zealand versus everybody.
Will you be playing Pokemon TCG Go or Pocket or whatever?
Yeah, I'll play it. I'm very interested because the Pokemon TCG has always been an interesting game to me, but not interesting enough for me to pull up to my local card store, get my, I don't want to do all that.
Agreed.
But if it's just in an app, right?
Yes.
That I mostly control with my thumb, or maybe I got a two-handed, I don't know. But
I agree.
I'm with that.
Yeah, I will. I'm actually, dare I say, excited to try it because I've always wanted to get into the TCG. I really do like Pokemon. It's probably hard to tell, because we do so much Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff here, but I like Pokemon a lot. I just never have played the really card game much. I've opened.
Did you play the one on Game Boy?
Yeah, I think I owned it, but I didn't.
I borrowed it.
Yeah, I think I borrowed it. This seems fun. This seems like they're trying to reduce the barrier to entry, both for young players, but also just for people, from the sounds of it, like us, who
the fogies,
who just want to, kind of play it in a light, it just tap on your phone.
Because I like the idea of being able to play Pokemon and not being surrounded by children.
Yeah, that actually, I agree. It's something you can play personally yourself. Because sometimes,
then again, I imagine they don't send the Pokemon company death threats.
They will when they're older.
Oh yeah, they'll grow into it. Give it time.
Yeah, so that's Pokemon TCG Pocket. Officially releases at the end of the month, but you can play it a little early if you can find a way to get to New Zealand. Anyways, any more card game things?
I do.
It looks like you found a lot.
This one includes GameStop.
What the hell is going on? Oh God.
How a GameStop customer won a full Bitcoin, a $33 pack of trading cards. So before I even go any further, there are 3 alarming things in the title alone. GameStop.
Ouch.
Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And $33 pack?
Yeah, I'm already a little confused.
There's a 4-letter word that comes to mind before I even read the rest of it, and it starts with an S and ends with an am.
Oh, spam. Like the meat you buy in the container. And
Okay. There's a C in there. A scam. So one lucky GameStop customer won an entire Bitcoin worth just over $63,000 at today's value after opening up a pack of a $30 crypto-themed collectible trading card.
Why the hell are they selling that at GameStop?
Because GameStop will sell anything if you just
that's probably
you
true.
give it to them for the right price. So the winning card, which was revealed in a Reddit post earlier this month, was hidden inside of a first edition pack, as if there's going to be more editions, of Cardsmith's Currency trading cards, which he had purchased at the game's
The game
retailer.
is called Cardsmith's Currency?
Cardsmith's Currency.
That's a name. Okay.
The card series features crypto memes and cartoon caricature depictions of famous people within the crypto world, including MicroStrategy CEO Michael Saylor, no idea, anonymous Bitcoin inventor Satoshi Nakamoto, and Elon Musk. The series was first launched in 2022.
Oh, your favorite people in one card game.
In addition to Bitcoin, the decks of cards also include rare cards that can be redeemed for Ethereum, Litecoin, and Dogecoin.
Awesome. Color me.
Paul, you seem skeptical, but you could win a full Bitcoin off a $33 pack.
So the pack is $33.
That's right,
get,
just 33.
And you have like a chance, like a 1 in a bajillion chance of like maybe you get a Bitcoin.
And let's not focus on the fact that pack was probably seeded in so that someone would open it and then tell the story. And I
guess it has to be. If it's true, then it has to be seeded somewhere.
Because think about it this way, right? If this was truly a 1 in a billion chance of pulling this Bitcoin card pack, what's the chances someone would pull it anytime soon so anyone could write about it?
Well, I mean, if it came out in 2022, then that means it's been like 2 years.
Oh, I was thinking of it as
I'm operating under the assumption that like this one random Bitcoin inserted thing has been going for the last year or two or whatever. Because if that's the case, then it's at least believable that it's a real thing. That's an expensive pack. $33.
$33, but it's filled with all
like
your
Magic the Gathering,
things.
like Commander, a collector booster or whatever.
Yes, collector boosters
can
can cost over like $20-$30.
Yeah. Anyway,
but I think you'll get more enjoyment from a collector's booster,
actual
obviously,
card game than some fucking crypto shit.
This is like marginally better than like those NFT card games.
I wouldn't even. I mean, marginally.
I say marginally because these are at least physical things.
You can't hold the thing.
If you actually like these cards, which you shouldn't, but if you do have them, right? The guy who got the Bitcoin at least has the coin.
What do you do with the card? Is there a game?
So I believe you can trade and sell these cards on an online platform that, of course, deals in.
That's bullshit. I mean, like, what can you do? Like, so what do you do with a physical card that's supposed to be such a great selling
What do you
point?
do with a basketball card?
Yeah, but like at least those are like, honestly, okay.
You don't want a rookie Elon Musk first edition?
Ooh, all right, listen. Well, Alec, you're going to be heading to your local GameStop to pick up a couple of these packs and perhaps.
Are you asking me if I'm going to play the lottery?
A Bitcoin, yes.
I don't play the lottery either.
Okay, well.
I think it's a waste of money. I think it's a complete scam. I'm actually only telling this story to warn people for like before you go into your local GameStop, do not buy these $33 packs on the hope you'll get a Bitcoin. Because think about it, they can't afford to put a bunch of Bitcoins out there. So like that one Bitcoin might be the only one.
Yeah, this just seems like bullshit. But I mean, I guess it's not bullshit in that, like, I guess someone did get it. So I will give them credit.
I'm not going to give them any credit. You know what? Makers of this card game, if you want to prove to me that this is real, send me a Bitcoin now.
Get Alec's approval.
Send me a Bitcoin. That's how we'll know.
Okay. That's all I've got to say about the story. I think it's just $33 packs, Bitcoin scam. I don't know.
I could use $63,000 now. I won't lie.
I'm not a crypto guy.
But I don't have 33 to burn.
Yeah, you got to spend your 33 to get your 63.
All right, what you got, Paul?
Well, I don't have any more card game stories, but I do have general stories.
What you got?
So, popular Switch emulator Ryuji NX shut down by Nintendo. So you guys,
that's another one?
Yeah, there was like the Yuzu emulator that was shut down some months back earlier in the year. Well, after 6 years in active development, Nintendo Switch emulator Ryuji NX finally closed its doors after a takedown from Nintendo. Following the closure of the popular Switch emulator Yuzu, Nintendo has turned its eye to another piece of pirate software, Ryuji NX. I think it's Ryujinx, or maybe it's Ryujinx. I don't know. Set up by lead developer GDK-chan back in 2017, it's been the last bastion for Switch emulation, but that comes to an end today. As of October 1st, Ryujinx is no longer in development, and the emulator can't be downloaded via the organization's official site. The news comes days after Echoes of Wisdom was showcased running on Ryujinx with uncapped FPS. Of
Echoes of Wisdom, that's the Legend of Zelda game?
Yeah, where you play as Zelda.
Just checking.
Of course, the closure will not come as a surprise, especially considering Nintendo has maintained a stalwart approach to piracy and the infringement of its brands. It famously shut down the likes of Simu and Yuzu, the latter of which has agreed to pay the Japanese game company $2.4 million in damages. Written on the official Ryujinx Discord server, developer Rippery.
Okay.
Internet names are always fun. Announced the reasons behind the closure. Yesterday, GDK-chan was contacted by Nintendo and offered an agreement to stop working on the project, remove the organization, and all related assets he's in control of. While awaiting confirmation on whether he would take this agreement, the organization has been removed, so I think it's safe to say what the outcome is. What this agreement is remains uncertain, but it's clear that Ryujinx is no longer operating and will stay shuttered for the foreseeable future. As another emulator shutters its door, it's clear Nintendo is keen to crack down on not only emulation but copyright infringement, with the latest being the Pokemon and the Power World lawsuit. So, yeah, last Switch emulator, or at least last major one, is, had the plug pulled.
I just love it they called it an agreement, because an agreement implies it's two minds coming together to agree on something.
It's a threat.
It's a threat.
It's like a threat.
Do these things or
we will ruin your life via court. So this is the usual kind of point where I have to disclose that I do not pirate games. So I don't
And you have never pirated games.
But I have emulated a game or two in the past. So this does not affect present day Paul very much. So it'd be easy for me to just say well, who cares? I don't use.
It was in the
YouTube.
past. You're absolved of your crimes.
But the thing is, I can relate. I understand. There's a lot of reasons why people emulate. Sometimes it's to save money. Sometimes it's to get better performance. Because
to do it to steal money out of pockets of creators. That's the only motivation I have to do it.
Right.
I just hate creators so much.
Yeah.
No, that's a joke. A bad joke, but a joke nonetheless.
Yeah, so, here's some good news. If you already have it downloaded, I guess you get to keep it. You have the program on your computer.
I guess the idea...
I don't know.
I guess now the onus is on Nintendo to make all those emulators outdated by some type of an update to their software. I don't know how you do that.
The Switch didn't get any better. That thing runs like a freaking potato.
But the Switch
I love the
2.
Switch to death, but it runs like crap. Now, the Switch 2 is looking like it'll be, it's going to be coming out probably next year. Or at least that's when they're going to talk about it.
I heard the Switch 2 is almost comparable to a flagship
PS4.
smartphone from 6 years ago.
I heard it's like a PS4 level of graphics, PS4 Pro maybe. Probably PS4. Cool. I hope the Switch 2 can improve the experience of some existing Switch games. That would be great. Because I know for the Switch in particular, obviously there's lots of people just pirating just to pirate, but the Switch does run like dog water, and being able to do the whole uncapped FPS and actually run games at 1080p or 4K or whatever, that's a real perk to playing on those emulators. So.
Isn't this not so bad? Because the Switch 2 is on the horizon, new emulators are going to come out for that, and those will probably be compatible with the Switch one, ROMs and stuff.
Well, I think Nintendo's probably trying to ward a lot of that stuff off now. They're letting you know, listen, when this Switch 2 comes out, y'all can make these emulators when you know that you will, but we've just made it known what like kind of will come of that. So it's sort of one of those resistance is futile type of.
But there always will be a resistance.
But there will be. So
someone's got to carry on hope, like Luke Skywalker did all those years ago.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't. Like I said, I don't use any of these emulators, so like my sympathy is limited in that respect, or at least my exposure to it is. But no one likes kind of seeing the big corporation bully the little guy.
Yeah.
Even if the little guy,
you got to fight for Pal World.
Yeah. I don't love Pal World, but I've heard it's fun. I've heard
people have fun with the horrible things all the time.
Yeah, so it's just some interesting news. Thought I'd share it. What else you got?
I have some horrible news.
Oh, horrible news. Fine.
Yeah, I found it kind of horrific. U.S. man, 81, sentenced to 6 months in prison for creating giant sheep hybrid for hunting.
Wait, what? So was this like, we're talking like a real life breeding type?
Yes.
Okay.
So an 81-year-old Montana man was sentenced on Monday to 6 months in federal prison for illegally using tissue and testicles from large sheep hunted in Central Asia and the U.S. to create hybrid sheep for captivity trophy hunting in Texas and Minnesota.
I thought we saved the crazy stuff for the end of the podcast. Okay. I mean, if we're going there already, sure. That's wild.
Yeah, the judge said that he wanted to deter anyone else from trying to change the genetic makeup of creatures on Earth just for sport.
That's insane.
Like, people are focusing on like the more, these like the humane issues with this story. I'm focused on the fact that this is we got a real life alchemist over here. I know you didn't watch Full Metal Alchemist, but there was a guy named Shel Tucker who fused his daughter with his dog.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's scary. I don't know what to say about it. That's just I remember hearing a story some years back about like somebody who created like a chimera. That is
like what this is.
They made a chimera in a lab, and
combining like two different types of
pig and a bird of some kind, a chicken maybe,
flying pig.
Well, I don't think the pig could fly, but it was like a chimera. They were trying to kind of just combine some.
As it's all very mentally and probably visually disturbing too.
I would hate to
see it in real life.
What it looks like. Is there a picture?
Let's see. Do they?
I'm like, this seems so disgusting.
They don't have a picture of what the sheep look like.
That's probably for the best.
I think, but it is horrific that he did all of that just so that they could shoot them.
Yeah,
that is some truly like disturbing stuff, but also so interesting. Yeah, it reminds me of Full Metal Alchemist.
Cool. That's kind of grosses me out. It's like a very horrific thing to hear. Yeah. I always hate the stories about like dog breeding because like when people like pugs and stuff, like people breed them to have like more attractive features maybe that are
because they have very flat faces.
Yeah, but it leads to like breathing problems and like other problems with their senses and like shorter lifespans. And it kind of sucks. So I'm always focused on like the humane parts of it, but
right. And I'm looking for anime references.
Yeah, there are two types of people in this world. Okay, so back to I guess what you'd consider actual news. Here's something a little bit good. It's like an update. Twitch says it's investigating harassment at TwitchCon after Kick streamer chaos.
Okay, so this goes into what we talked about last week.
Yeah, so TwitchCon San Diego was a hotbed for chaotic moments as several streamers complained of being harassed and even physically harmed by Kick creators at the event. For instance, Twitch stars Implol and Wake Wilder, these will never get old, found themselves getting kissed and licked by a Kick streamer during an impromptu meet and greet, something viewers labeled as live-streamed sexual assault, which I agree, that's
more than assault.
That's insane.
Yeah, that's battery at that point.
The same Kick streamer went on to make suggestive remarks toward XQC, who literally ran away from them as they continued to follow him outside of the venue.
Oh my God.
Kind of scary. A different Kick streamer pushed another broadcaster into a moving train during an argument. Yeah, pushed another broadcaster into a moving train during an argument, while yet another Kick creator got into a fistfight with Twitch streamer Erob after publicly accusing him of cheating on his long-term partner.
What? TwitchCon was crazy.
So yeah, it sounds like things are getting pretty crazy. These events left broadcasters outraged, demanding answers from Twitch. Implol claimed he never received any communication from the platform, despite his alleged assault being streamed for tens of thousands of viewers to see in real time. We reached out to Twitch for a comment, and they told us we're working to prevent incidents like this from happening at future events. We want TwitchCon to be a safe and enjoyable experience for everyone. That's always our goal and something we're committed to delivering for our community, the company said in an exclusive statement to Dexerto. So we're actively investigating concerns raised by attendees and are doing everything we can to prevent these sort of incidents in the future.
They should turn TwitchCon into a show called The Real Streamers of TwitchCon.
It feels like that's what it's become. It sounds like people... I mean, I guess we already kind of talked about it. I think TwitchCon has become really more... I think it's like seen as a half clout, half like networking event type of thing. Like, I guess fans go there to meet their favorite streamers, but for a lot of people, it seems like it's sort of a way to like... get in a little deeper within the industry, meet other streamers, kind of IRL, whatever. Like, yeah.
With the advent of social media and all these websites that we all want to be popular and big on, I've noticed events like these are looked at opportunities to network and to like schmooze and, you know, just try to like get to know people in your industry. However, I think they're all wrong. I don't think any event that has open attendance to fans is really an opportunity for networking because it's too chaotic.
Yeah, I've never been to TwitchCon, but from the footage I've seen, it looks a little bit of a mess. Like, I just, for multiple reasons. I mean, outside of, you know, all conventions, or like all big conventions tend to be pretty crowded, so that's nothing new. We've been to like Anime Expo, and that looks
never
worse,
again.
really.
I'm not going back.
But like, with things like TwitchCon, I think that my fear of going to something like that would just be that like there's always cameras rolling, like just everyone's live streaming on their phones and cameras. And
everybody there is a streamer.
Everyone's either a streamer or wannabe streamer, you know, whatever. So yeah, it's good to hear that they're like looking into it. Although this seems like a pretty like canned corporate response. We have heard the concerns. We are looking into it.
But they can't. They don't want to say anything that might leave them liable for the things that happened at their event.
Yeah.
Which they probably are liable for some of those things.
Yeah, they can't say like much more than that. I know there have been like controversies that past TwitchCon. I remember there was like the one with they had like the pool of block, like, you know, kind of foam blocks people were supposed to be able to like jump into like a...
Oh, yeah.
And then it turned out it was like very shallow and
people
hard
were
at the
hurt.
bottom. And so people...
So this reminds me of E3 a lot. Because I think at one point E3 was a great event for networking for people in the gaming space. And then
it was a very industry-focused event.
Then they opened it up to the public. I think at that point, for one, we already knew the writing was on the wall for E3.
Yeah.
But also, I think once that happened, I think at that point, if you're in the industry, you did your networking somewhere else. Like, you shouldn't, like, TwitchCon is not the kind of event that you really would want to go to network. There's just too many chaotic factors. There's fans, there's wannabes who just want to like try and use you to come up.
Yeah.
Like, I think for a lot of like the creators that went to TwitchCon, they wanted to connect with their fans, but they also wanted to like be around their peers. But I imagine that was way too chaotic for that to really happen.
One or the other.
You pick one, and that's how it goes.
Well, I've got another gaming story. Unless you have something to interject.
I have a gaming story.
Okay, you can go first. Since I just gave one.
So,
might even be the same one I have.
After laying off 830 employees.
Oh, God, I was going to start with something a little more positive.
Oh,
go ahead.
Tim Sweeney says Fortnite maker Epic is now financially sound. So, Tim Sweeney, I believe he is the... I think he's the CEO for Epic or some other high level.
Something high up.
Yeah.
I've heard his name.
He's saying that Epic is now financially sound and that it's no longer just hemorrhaging money.
So So it took some layoffs and stuff, but they got there in the end.
In September 2023, the North Carolina studio behind Fortnite and Unreal Engine suffered a significant round of layoffs that saw 830 employees, about 16% of its workforce, lose their jobs. Separately, Epic divested music service platform Bandcamp and spun off most of Super Awesome, a kid-safe technology company. These were acquired by Epic in 2022 and 2020, respectively. Around 250 people left Epic through the divestitures. I love the word divestitures. Like we're firing people. That's what we're doing.
This sounds, it's like firing written in cursive.
Yes.
That's how that meme goes.
At the time, Sweeney said Epic had been spending way more money than we earn, investing in the next evolution of Epic and growing Fortnite as a metaverse-inspired ecosystem for creators. He also pointed to a major structural change to our economics after Fortnite growth transitioned from the explosively popular and highly profitable Battle Royale that funded its initial expansion to the lower margin business that came from creator content with significant revenue sharing. And that is true. Like they do have a pretty complex like creator like system when it comes to making things for Unreal Engine and Fortnite respectively. It says, now a year later, Sweeney has commented on the state of Epic Games, and he certainly sounded more bullish. Speaking during a presentation at Unreal Fest 2024, I didn't know that existed. As reported by GI Biz, Sweeney said that Epic spent the last year rebuilding and really executing solidly on all fronts. He added, I'm happy to tell you now that the company is financially sound. You know what I noticed he didn't mention? How he took a pay cut so they could fire as few people as they could.
Well, good for him. Like, honestly, I mean, so I was going to actually approach the story from some point of understanding as I listened to it, which is just that, like, okay, layoffs suck. They really, truly do. And I wish that they didn't have to happen. I think no one likes layoffs. Mm-hmm. I think the best thing that you can do is probably like, not overhire, honestly. Yeah. Like overhiring that's a big issue. In
gaming, it's almost cyclical the way these companies, they spring up, they do big numbers, they start just expanding, and then things start slowing down, and it's like, uh-oh.
Yeah, because I mean, like if you don't overhire, then you probably won't have to do layoffs like this. But I get that it's like easy for me to sit here and say that from my literal armchair. Whereas like meanwhile, these companies are having to like make decisions. Like, I've made investment decisions on like video stuff. Like I've bought things that ended up not like I didn't like equipment that I didn't end up actually using much of, but I thought I would, or like,
Do you think he views his employees as equipment?
Yeah, probably. No, I mean, but like sometimes like you do invest in things, products, whatever, and like it ends up being more than you need. So like I get that point. I really hope for these people's sake that they can like land on their feet. Like, find jobs within the industry in similar places.
Well, the article doesn't really go into what happened to the 800 plus people that were fired or divested from Epic. They can take solace in knowing that because they're gone, Epic is okay financially sound.
Yeah, it's great to hear. But if you took a pay cut, hey, that's something.
Oh, no. I said they didn't mention it because it didn't happen.
Oh, I thought he did.
No.
Oh, he didn't? Well, that's even worse. So I'm sure he's still making his...
These CEOs, they are so quick to fire people, but their own bank accounts they never have to really take a hit. It's like, it's on my salary's fine.
Yeah, I thought he had taken a pay cut. Though, yeah, that certainly changes my opinion on it. I mean, I just hope these people can like, kind of figure things out. It's difficult, and I already know, just the gaming industry's had so much of this happen that it's easy to get numb to it, but it brings us back to like my whole thing and like just the whole like cynicism with which I think we've started to approach gaming worries me sometimes. Mm-hmm. Like, like these games come out and like this AAA game failed and it was bad, and like we're like, they shouldn't have released it unfinished and it shouldn't have been so buggy and they shouldn't have rushed it. But still, like, I mean, people's livelihoods are tied to this industry, and so like when games fail and we cheer on the failure of certain games, like it's fun to stick it to Sony for like thinking Concord could ever be good, right? Or stick it to whatever company.
This is Concord is what you want to hang?
No. I'm using it as one example.
Okay.
But like, it's easy to be like, yeah, this game failed because it was obviously like trash and bad and garbage, but people still worked on it and will be laid off. It's not that we're responsible for like keeping those people's jobs. Like, you should buy Concord so people don't lose. That's like its own can of worms, and I'm not going to. But I guess I still just feel bad for the people that will inevitably have to lose jobs when these companies make mistakes.
To me, it feels like these companies, these corporations are using and abusing the kids who grew up in the 90s and the 2000s who were like, man, I really loved playing Pokemon. I really love playing Mario. I want to be a video game developer. I want to be in that industry. And they bust their butts. They learn these skills. They get talented at that. They get hired by these giant companies, and they're thinking, I made it. I'm here. And 2 years pass, and so I got fired. I guess I wasted my time. Yeah. Or like what was that? The Sony exec who said that, well, they should just go do Uber until like everything bounces back and they can find a new job. Like, people like dreamed of being in this industry, and these CEOs, they didn't care about them.
Yeah, I think it is certainly the case that these companies are going to have to figure out something new going forward. Like, it sucks that people had to be burned for this lesson to be learned, but that rhymed. But like, yeah, I mean, I think like the overhiring that happened kind of around the pandemic and stuff, that was a bubble, certainly won't happen again.
Nope.
Where does it leave the people? Hopefully able to land on their feet.
Hopefully better than doing Uber, I hope.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, I've got I guess like a better gaming story.
What you got?
More positive. So, we're talking about the PS5 Pro.
Are you sure this is better?
I guess. Jury's out on it. You guys can let me know. Well, the PS5 Pro pre-orders went live like last week or whatever. Sold out. So I guess there was no real concerns about.
There was not.
This was not too expensive.
We were crazy for worrying about it.
Yeah, it definitely sold out. But also the PS5 Pro 30th Anniversary Edition. You've seen this, right?
That's the one that's designed to look like a PS1.
Yeah, it's got the PS1 aesthetic, the retro thing. People were, rabid for this thing. Well, it's been scalped already online.
That makes sense.
For thousands.
Oh yeah,
like $4,000 or $5,000 for this thing. In Japan, at least, they have implemented some measure to help to curb the scalpers, which is
do a lottery.
PS5 Pro 30th Anniversary Edition pre-orders are restricted to PSN accounts with at least 30 hours of runtime. But this is only in Japan.
Oh.
So, you buy it from your PlayStation account is where you order it from. And so you have to have at least 30 hours of like being, on PSN.
But what if, I have a PlayStation, but I just don't play all that much. And I only got like 20 hours in. So I just can't?
No PS5 Pro console for you. Yeah.
All right, guys, make sure you idle your PlayStations for the future of when something like this comes up for the West.
Yeah, so right now it's only sold on the PlayStation Direct website. Other retailers will be launching their pre-orders on October 10th. The console itself launches on November 21st. And the standard PS5 Pro comes out on November 7th. So I thought this was kind of cool. I mean, at least it's a way to just curb the obvious scalpers who are just literally, I'm going to buy this and throw it on eBay for $5,000. So, it's good. It's just a small little thing, but.
So you just reminded me of a positive Sony story as well. This isn't a story from like the internet. It was a story from my personal life.
Oh.
So you remember the PlayStation handheld? What was it called? The
PlayStation Portal?
Yeah, the Portal.
Yeah.
So my older brother actually uses the Portal.
Oh.
And he's gotten a lot of good use out of it. Okay. There was a specific use case for the Portal that I had. We might have talked about it, but I kind of forgot. He shares a TV with his girlfriend, and that means he can't always have the TV.
And so for him, it's a way to play the game still in the house, still from the console, but just on the.
Yeah, when she's watching a show or a movie, he just plays on his Portal, and he told me he's like, yeah, he's having a great time with it, and I was like, man, I really talked a lot of ish about that product, and he's over here.
He is
having the best case. Time. He said he can't wait to go out of town to see how the streaming would work.
Yeah. what games does he play on it? I know like some people like some games translate well to the mobile experience and some.
That's true. I know he's big into the Horizon series. I think he might have played every version of The Last of Us, which there are many.
Okay.
I don't think he's played any multiplayer games on it.
Yeah.
That might be difficult.
But still, that's really cool. I mean, I always like a good testimonial. Because for me, what I always wonder with these products is like, what is the use case? Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not so much thinking that the portal is an outright failure or it's completely pointless, but I did struggle to see like what it's meant to be for. And I guess that kind of went over my head. It's like, if you have to share a single
some people
TV
have families and relationships.
Yeah, like family and stuff. Yeah, this is a good application for it. I can actually add on to that. My sister's husband, or I guess my brother-in-law, family things are so crazy.
Yeah.
He has a PlayStation Portal, and he actually really likes it as well. He just, kind of likes the portability. He thought it was all right. He gets a lot of game console things, though. He has an ROG Ally and other
so he has everything.
He kind of gets it all, but...
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, so it was very... It's cool to hear that like there are people getting real use out of it.
Yeah. I get Sony... I mean, they're a multi-billion-dollar company for a reason. They know better than I do.
Right. So, okay. Here's what do you got another story?
No.
Okay, cool. So I've got a couple more stories. 2 more, to be precise.
Okay.
The first one's depressing. The second one's kind of funny and ironic. Warner Brothers Discovery is shutting down Boomerang streaming service. I don't know if you heard about this.
I didn't know Boomerang had a streaming service.
Yeah, Boomerang had a streaming service, and Warner Brothers is shutting it down. So it was kind of a home for classic animated series and movies. It will cease operations on September 30th, which that just recently passed. Its subscribers and some of the content will be folded into Max, like HBO Max, and not just Max or whatever.
Well, it's not HBO Max anymore.
But at least its linear channel will continue to operate on cable and satellite providers. So they shut down Boomerang. Something I also found out, though, is that they have taken a lot of the kids' shows off of HBO Max.
That's true. I do remember we talked about that, I think.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit. It's kind of concerning to me still that like so many, I'm trying to find this tweet that was listing them, so many kids' shows have just been removed. So here's Cartoon Network shows that have been removed from Max today. Chowder, regular show, The Amazing World of Gumball, We Bare Bears, Steven Universe, the Powerpuff Girls 2016 version, it's like a newer one, and Ben 10 from 2016. And those have all just been taken off of Max.
I do find it interesting that those shows are all from like a similar-ish era.
Yeah, mid 2010s. Like a lot of.
I wonder what that's about.
It's just I find that I don't watch any of these myself, so I'm not going to pretend to have like the strongest stance on it. But I'm always concerned when like more and more kids' spaces are like just gotten rid of, and like the alternative is just subscribe to Max or something. I mean,
I feel like Max doesn't do a good enough job of marketing their kids' content to parents, because like more times than not, parents are just trying to find something to put in front of their kids' faces, so they're like, leave them alone.
Yeah.
If parents knew what all cartoons were on Max and what they can just throw on to like distract their kids for 30 minutes so they can take a nap, then I think a lot of those shows would have performed better on their platform and they wouldn't have to deplatform them at all.
Yeah. I like always, I think that as social media kind of begins or continues to march along, and I don't like it, I don't love Twitter, I don't love Instagram. I hate the thought that like kids and like younger teenagers and stuff don't just have like channels to themselves, really. Like it feels like more and more has like been removed or like has been moved to just this general streaming platform, right, which could potentially expose them to something really dangerous. And we already talked about that one story with like, the Cartoon Network website going down, for instance.
What a shame.
And like stuff like, the Nickelodeon website, like these old Flash games and kind of ways to just safely engage with the shows that you like, as opposed to now where it's like, man, YouTube Kids is supposed to be safe, but like we've heard of like Elsa Gate and stuff where weird stuff finds its way onto there. It's like a little concerning.
But at least in the case of like Boomerang, those shows will probably move to Max, and so as long as the kids can dodge around like Game of Thrones, like topless scenes and stuff, then they'll find their cartoons there.
Yeah, just gotta dodge and weave around a couple of those. I'll be fine, huh?
Yeah, I think it's likely that the shows they removed were just too niche. I think a lot of parents will probably put the classics that they enjoyed as kids in front of their children, and these like 2010s cartoons, I don't know if they're the favorites of as many people who would then put this in front of their children. Maybe it changes when those kids who grew up watching Chowder have their own kids, or maybe they're having kids right now. If that's a 2010.
Well, I mean, birth rates are going down.
Rates are going down. So it's a tough one, but maybe that changes when someone's like, I really wish I could show my kid Chowder, because that was just a show, man.
Wasn't it?
I have no idea.
All right, well, here's the last one. California's new law will force storefronts to disclose that buyers don't actually own their digitally purchased media. California Governor Gavin Newsom has signed a bill into law that won't stop companies from taking away your digitally purchased video games, movies, and TV shows, but it will at least force them to be a little more transparent about it. As spotted by The Verge, the law, AB 2426, will prohibit storefronts from using the words buy, purchase, or any other term with which a reasonable person would understand to confer an unrestricted ownership interest in the digital good, or alongside an option for a limited time rental. So the law won't apply to storefronts which state in plain language that you're actually just licensing the digital content and that the license could expire at any time, or to products that can be permanently downloaded. So yeah, basically this is going to apply to like video game, like the PlayStation
GameStop
store, right? Well,
we said storefronts, right?
Like PSN store, Epic store.
Oh, so we're talking about websites.
Yeah, like websites.
Oh, okay. I thought we were talking about brick and mortars.
Yeah, no. So when you buy like digital media, that can be ebooks, that can be music, whatever. That could be movies, I suppose. They are not going to be allowed to say like you are buying this or like own it on digital,
unless you literally have the file and they can't take it away from you.
So here's this quote. As retailers continue to pivot away from selling physical media, the need for consumer protections and the purchase of digital media has become increasingly more important. California Assembly member and bill author Jackie Irwin said in a statement, I thank the governor for signing AB 2426, ensuring the false and deceptive advertising from sellers of digital media, incorrectly telling consumers they own their purchases becomes a thing of the past. It's a clear response to some of the ongoing concerns surrounding the disappearing digital content in the game, film, and TV spaces. I thought that'd be a good segue from the fact that like HBO took some of these shows off, for instance. A year after delisting it, Ubisoft took its online-only racing game, The Crew, offline in April, and also deleted it from players' libraries. Imagine that, just get yoink, it's out of your library.
I feel some type of way.
So yeah, they're trying to kind of curb this. Thoughts?
It reminds me back in around like 2012, 2013. I was when I started noticing that I would buy like these like games and movies and stuff, but they weren't really mine. And I remember I had a vested interest in figuring out how to take them. Yeah. Like I would get these like digital movies and I'm like, I wonder if like, can I rip this file out of here? Yeah. Like, can I make this mine? And back then, I think the technology maybe was still new. I was able to take that stuff and say, that's mine now. That's mine now. I paid for it. I'm keeping it forever. Even if I don't ever watch this movie again, it's mine forever. That's harder to do nowadays. Not impossible, mind you, but harder to do. But I think such things are important. I think we need to send a message to these companies that, hey, we're kind of not cool with not owning things we pay money for anymore. And two, just make it harder to sell those things to people without them knowing what's up.
Yeah, I mean, I think as far as like this stuff goes, it's always been like, I think that there's always been like the tinkerers who will know how to kind of like back up stuff like that. But really for like the average Joe, who's just, he just buys stuff on this PSN account, whatever. Yeah. The word buy is deceptive.
Yeah. It's because it's just not true.
It's not like you're not owning it, like you are renting it effectively. So I think it's a good law. I just thought it was like it'll be funny when like PSN and stuff, they have to start using the word like license on their websites because it's not
instead
sexy.
of buy.
It's not a sexy word.
Like parents are going to be like, wait, what now? Like,
yeah.
If a parent sees an ad, buy your kid, Black Ops 6. Like, oh, my kid likes Call of Duty. But instead of license Black Ops 6 for your child, it's like, no.
Yeah, it feels a little bit less inviting.
But at the same, they'll probably just change it to get Black Ops 6 now.
Or play now.
Yeah, they're just going to avoid any mention of the word purchase.
Anyways, that's all my stories.
That's all I had.
Cool. So in that case, it's time to answer some viewer questions from the pot of greed. Now, normally we pull these out of the pot, but today's questions are so gosh darn long, I was trying to write them down on the card sleeves, and I could not fit them.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to have to read them off the tablet. This is not a mark against you guys. Please continue to leave, deep, inventive questions or any questions.
I mean, ask what you want. That's what we're here to do.
At the link in the description, of course. We always appreciate hearing any questions. We will talk about them. But, so first question is, since we had a couple of Tier 0 formats back to back, I'm curious, do you guys think Konami makes these new archetypes with the idea that they will be the new dominant deck, or do players optimize their decks so much that it becomes Tier 0? Yeah, this person is, I guess, sort of asking, does Konami plan top tier decks?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I think at one point back in the day, it became Tier 0. It could honestly be a player innovation thing and not a Konami thing. But this the stretch of Tier, Kashtira, Snake Eye, it's this is all on purpose.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've thought that as far back as just when kind of archetypes became the de facto standard for Yu-Gi-Oh! As it was very clear that some were just designed better than others. And I don't buy the idea that we're really having happy accidents anymore in Yu-Gi-Oh! Certainly not in 2024. They knew they know Kashtira Finra is busted, right? They know that Snake Eye Ash does this very one card combo line that
you can read a tier card and recognize there's no other card in the game that reads this way.
So that's the thing. I'm not really sold on the fact that now that's not to take all the agency out of the players' hands. Players are still the ones who kind of fine tune these deck lists. Konami makes the archetype, but the players are the ones who make a deck list. So it's not to say that there's none of that is involved. But I definitely think Konami knows.
I think every top deck of the last, what feels like 10 years, has been very much on purpose.
Yeah, it's felt quite deliberate. You can usually you read the text one time and it's
okay, this is going to be good. There's no way around it.
These things have a lot of text on these boxes. Surprise, surprise, they're really good. And also, it can't be coincidence that those are often the cards that the secret rares and ultras in the sets, and then somehow Gunk and Sue ships just don't have any secrets in the set. I wonder why. It's not
And not to mention, whenever there's an example of a player-made monstrosity, they tend to get hit on the ban list faster than usual.
It's so strange.
I think the only accident I can think of that was probably made was Super Heavy Samurai with their latest support. I don't think they realized just how crazy Super Heavy were gonna be, and that's why they hit it immediately.
Yeah, I think that they tend to hit accident stuff fast, if they didn't intend for it to work. But I think if they intended for it to work, they usually leave those around.
Yeah, I mean, it's here for a reason.
Yeah, okay. So
y'all gonna play with Poplar.
Here is the next question. It's from Basic Nerd. What is your comfort TV show, and what is a guilty pleasure? So he says for him, Ted Lasso is one of my comfort shows, and I also like watching Gilmore Girls with my wife. So do you have a kind of a comfort show, maybe even a movie or?
So
mine's so boring, but it's just my.
What's yours? While I think of mine.
Harry Potter.
Oh, of course. What was I thinking?
No, I mean literally. So here's the thing. It's today is October 2nd or whatever.
I think it's the 1st. Oh no, it's the 2nd. You're right.
Yeah.
It is the 2nd.
When you're watching this, will be the 3rd. October starts my kind of Harry Potter season for me. This is where I reread I do my yearly rereads. I do my yearly movie rewatches. I just kind of just encapsulate myself.
You Potter. You Potter up
into the Potter world and
Potterize.
As I always have to say with stuff like this, it's not a J.K. Rowling thing. Fuck that bitch. She's crazy. But Harry Potter is awesome. I really do like it. It is like my comfort book. It is my comfort movie. You know, I do that. It helps me feel like it kind of brings me back. It's nostalgic. It's kind of relaxing for me, honestly. So that'd probably be mine. Yeah.
So I tend to like when I just want to watch something it's easy because maybe my like nerves are fried or I have some bad anxiety. I kind of like sitcoms, and there's a show called Kim's Convenience that I really enjoy. My cousin put me on to it, and I just find the writing and the acting just to be. I find it like not like I'm not like busting out my gut laughing, but it's funny enough where no matter how bad of a day I'm having, that I find that show kind of evens me out. Otherwise, I just like to watch like the real garbage isekai anime. Like every season, there's like four or five of them come out. They're not very good. They're not very interesting. But I have a high tolerance for bad isekai for some reason, and so I'll watch those. And any like really sappy like rom-com or like a slow burn like drama, I'll watch those too. I can handle it. Like they're not good, but I can handle them.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, so for me, there are some anime that I've like rewatched a little bit. Like one of my comfort animes, actually, I do like rewatch earlier seasons of My Hero Academia. It's one of my kind of. It's not like super obscure, but it's. I
want to teach you guys know about this. Like this is a rarely known anime called My Hero Academia.
Yeah, so it's not obscure or anything, but it is something that like specifically those older seasons really take me back. Okay, here's the next question. It's from Mecca. I see Mecca a lot in the chat. My question for you guys is, have you ever taken a break from Yu-Gi-Oh! Or any card game really due to financial reasons? After losing my job earlier this year, I've taken a bit of a break from buying packs and booster boxes until I'm a little more financially healthy. Is there any advice you'd give to continue catching and playing Yu-Gi-Oh!, albeit on a budget? Thanks, guys. Always looking forward to the podcast.
Master Duel.
Well, I guess to answer the first part, have I ever taken a break?
Oh, yeah, the first part.
For like a financial reason? Yeah, actually, it's been a long time ago. I had a pretty big collection, and I ended up. I don't know if this counts, but I was a teenager, so I don't know that like teenagers can be like financially sound or not. Because I mean, if you're like living under your parents' roof, you're okay. But I sold my collection to get a PS3, my Yu-Gi-Oh collection.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I sold my Yu-Gi-Oh collection to get a PS3. This is in like 2010, 11. And for a while, I just didn't really play a bunch of Yu-Gi-Oh! For that little stretch of time. I mean, I still kept up. I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a game where, you know, you don't have to really be getting the new stuff. Like, if you are, I mean, you do if you're competing.
Right.
But I think that to just like Yu-Gi-Oh! Doesn't really take spending money.
I don't know. I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh's changed in the last like 10 years. I think at one point people used to sit on their favorite pet deck for like as long as it took for them to be interested in something new. Mm-hmm. But nowadays it feels like you're so punished for not keeping up with the latest and greatest in Yu-Gi-Oh!
It does move fast. You know, that's like almost like a point in Master Duel's favor is that like if you're having to drop the game for a few months, Master Duel delays product releases anyway by like about 4 months or so.
True.
So
in Master Duel,
you know, you can
still get new cards in Master Duel without spending money. You have to play, but you can do that.
Which, like, I know people think that, you know, I'm just trying to shove an extra inch of Master Duel in my throat when I say things like this. But Master Duel,
what's on your chest right now?
Yeah, I'm just gonna sell you on Master Duel real quick. No, it's like I don't know why people act like it is free to play. Like, it's crazy to me that in this world of games that are here to do nothing but rob you of, like, you know, your money on gotcha pulls, milk you like a cow. On Master Duel, if you just play like a crazy addict like I do, then you'll always I have so much UR material that I've just built up, and so many like gems. I got like the gems in the gift box where you can't even have them on your current total because like there's a cap to the total, and then they put it in the gift box.
Ball's one of them.
I play a lot of Master Duel. I always fill out the duel pass and all these things. And like, if I want to build a new deck, like I can like build it. And I guess some people want to like play a new deck like every week and just want to like always be building new things. But for me, I've never found it to be taxing on the wallet. Like I think compared to physical play, I think that it is just
it's night and day
a better. Like, you will save money.
Agreed.
Like I really think so. But yeah, I mean, have you ever taken a break from any other card game like for that reason?
Because of money? I don't think so. I just fall in and out of love with card games at different times where I'm like, I'll take a break from this game for right now. Like I've never specifically done it because I can't really afford it. Like right now, I don't really invest in Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Like I don't really have the money to be burning on all the newest like shiny pieces of cardboard. But I don't think that's why I'm taking a break from Yu-Gi-Oh. My break from Yu-Gi-Oh is the format itself.
Right.
The format of ever since Thunder Dragons fell out of the metagame.
Yeah, so for you it's less financial and more just like
it's more personal. But I highly recommend playing Master Duel. You can attempt Duel Links though. Duel Links pushes microtransactions so hard that it's hard to do that in good faith.
Yeah. Final question is, I was recently watching a video on floodgates and how they've basically been limited to one or banned. Mm-hmm. The video partly talked about hand traps and whether or not they should be banned/limited as well. My question is, what are you guys' feelings on hand traps/floodgates and whether they should be banned or limited or not? My take is that even though they hurt lower powered decks a lot, hand traps and floodgates are a necessary evil that help check top tier decks. Without them, top tier decks will mostly play uninterrupted and for the most part lock you out of the game and keep you from playing. I'd just like to know your thoughts on them, and yeah, so.
I do feel like they hit the nail on the head with the phrase necessary evil.
Yeah.
Because I don't think no one loves floodgates. No one pulls out their deck like, I can't wait to play some floodgates today. I can't wait to hand trap my opponent.
There's a couple of nihilists, I'm sure.
Okay, there might be a few. But for the most part, people want to play their monsters. They want to play their spells. They want to play Yu-Gi-Oh! And if you run floodgates, it's because you run them because you want to play Yu-Gi-Oh! You don't want your opponent to stop you. That's why you have floodgates in your deck. Yeah. Like you could argue that, you just don't want your opponent to play. It's like, well, sadly, if I want to play.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that oftentimes the floodgates and really even more specifically the hand traps are the way that you have to kind of fight for your turn.
Yeah.
You have to fight for your chance to play. Like, it's funny when I'm playing Master Duel sometimes I actually find myself thinking like, please don't have something else. Like, please let me take my turn again. Like, I just need to make it back to my turn. Should they be limiting the hand traps? I don't think so. I think that, like we've been describing, hand traps have just taken too vital a place in allowing you to kind of bargain for your opportunity to play this game.
Right.
Which, God, that sounds dark, huh?
But that's the game, but right?
It's like you will not necessarily get a turn if you're not willing to at least run some Ash, some Imperm.
And just because you don't run hand traps or floodgates doesn't mean your opponent won't. And now you're just one-sidedly getting knocked out the game. That doesn't feel good either.
Brings me. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm trying to figure out what's the solution to this.
I mean, it brings me back to the Magic the Gathering story earlier, where maybe we would be better off with like a tiered system where certain cards like are assigned, cards and strategies are assigned these power levels 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever you want to call it,
right?
So that, like we said this earlier, like sometimes you have to sort of define the rules of engagement a bit with your opponent. Like if you're entering a tournament, it's understood that everybody's running everything. You'll encounter floodgates, you'll encounter hand traps. Be ready, deal with it. It's going to be the worst. I will sling the worst cards at you, and you will sling the worst cards at me, and we will both dance in hell. But you're playing kind of at locals, and it's not actually even a tournament, it's just locals hanging out.
Right.
Well, okay, do we want to be running hand traps today or not? Like maybe I have a version of my deck that just replaces the nibs and ashes and stuff with normal cards, more archetype cards, whatever.
I find it's interesting, the conversation about hand traps and Yu-Gi-Oh! It's so polarizing because in Magic the Gathering they have like instants, and they have instant cards that just say counter target spell.
Yeah.
And there are many of them. These are literally just hand traps. They come out the hand, they stop something your opponent's doing. They even have like floodgate like cards that will limit how many spells you can play in a turn, or they'll make all your spells cost more or something. You have to pay an additional cost to even use your spells. But for some reason that's not looked as toxic.
I mean, I have a hunch as to why.
What's your hunch?
You can move so fast. Like with Magic, I think that because the pace is generally, I understand that there's exceptions to this, but because the pace is generally understood to be a little bit slower, I think that like having one of your cards negated or kind of like having to pay a little bit of an extra cost or whatever does not feel like it's the end of the world. Whereas with Yu-Gi-Oh, it's common knowledge that you just might not get like a turn to play really, or like another turn to play or something. And so having your card stopped means you'll just lose, right?
That's true.
You normal summoned your mid-tier deck's starter thing and it got ashed and you had to end your turn. Like it just
GG's.
Like, and then and your opponent kind of went off and went crazy. And so in order to ensure that you get a turn, you're going to have to run these hand traps.
Or you hit them a call by the grave
and
negate their hand trap.
In an effort to not get too negative, I'll try to make my next point fast and you can tell me when to shut up.
Okay.
I think
Shut
that,
up.
okay.
No, continue.
I think that it's really just, it's the Band-Aid problem that Yu-Gi-Oh's had that's led to this. Like, so the game gets faster, power creep, kind of continues, and Konami has to slap these Band-Aid fixes onto things. They have to make cards like Dark Ruler No More that sort of limit the amount that they can be interacted with and kind of just negate everything your opponent does. Or, you're evenly matched in your lightning storms or just whatever. Or you have to make hand traps. Because the power level is increasing, so we got to have ways to counter the power level, but in countering the power level, it just like further polarizes everything. Because now it's like when you don't see your hand traps, you feel subsequently worse. When you don't have the board breakers, it feels more hopeless. When you can't do anything, it was one thing maybe in 2004 when you could pass a turn and not expect to get killed. It's different when passing a turn now is giving up. You will lose immediately.
Yu-Gi-Oh is basically a leaky pipe that you keep slapping that Flexaseal stuff on to stop the leak, and then it starts leaking from a different spot. You can only the problem is that pipe needs to be replaced.
Yeah, the pipe. We need a new pipe. It is rusted. It is busted. Things aren't going well.
No matter what we do, no matter what cards get introduced. I remember the 2018 Megaton cards, Nibiru, Dark Ruler No More, and Shifter. Those were giant band-aids for the time, and then people started saying we need cards to stop those cards,
or that those need to be banned,
or that they needed to be banned. People hated people. People always had to have a negate for Nibiru. Dark Ruler No More was considered a toxic card, and now Shifter is considered a toxic card. When they were supposed to be saving the format, now they're the bad guys.
It's funny because stuff like that tends to age well or badly, depends on who you ask. But Dimension Shifter in 2005 would mean nothing. Dimension Shifter in 2024 is brutal and polarizing and game deciding in many cases. And it's, Ash Blossom sort of it's been fine. I think Ash and Imperm are examples of maybe where the power levels of these should be. But if you look at a Max C, it's just gotten as time has gone on, it's stronger of a card.
Right.
So I'll just wrap it by saying that I think that the hand traps should probably just stay, because at this point if you take them away, things just get crazier. If you take it away, it just gets more dice roll, kind of coin flip, polarizing. That might sound like I'm oversimplifying it. I know there's nuance to it, but that's the best answer that I can give in the time that I've been allotted.
Yeah, it's Konami's job to figure it out, so we'll let them.
Cool. Well, that's the video for the week. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I certainly enjoyed answering the questions. And as always, you can leave your own questions for the Pot of Greed at the link down below in the description if I remember to add it. So,
and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Or in the bonus episode for the channel members that will be published right after this one ends.
Stay tuned.
Best turn.